Dude, I love that background, man. I love
Yeah,
what you did to it. Yeah,
fun.
looking like a pog champ over here, bro.
How you
They,
doing? How's it
I'm
going?
I'm good, man. Thank you for joining us and doing this with us. Like, I really appreciate you joining the show and talking a little bit about your stream journey. Um,
Mm-hmm.
what we do on this segment is we talk about how social media, gaming, and mental health kind of all intertwine, especially with individual journeys towards being the streamer that they want to become. And Dazu was just kind of the perfect example, man. I mean, look at this man. He's a freaking pog champ.
Thanks.
All right, well, let's start with the rules. So the first rule is if you don't want to answer a question, you don't have to answer it, Dazu. That's you can just
Okay,
say pass
that's
and we
fair.
can, just move on. And the second rule
Sure.
is you're not streaming, right? So we
No.
don't have to worry about chat. It's just you and me talking, just engaging,
Yep.
and having a little
It's
fun.
just me and you. I did blast out your stream to the Discord. If people want to come and join in and participate, they're more than welcome to.
And if they miss out, this will be on YouTube, so I will be sure to send it over to you, Dazu, and you can send it to the troopers, and we'll go from there. But yeah,
Okay, that sounds good.
all right, man. First of all, how's your day? How you been?
My day's been okay. Um, Balancing some stress, with trying to just continue to try and catch up with school stuff I fell behind with a lot, due to just a lot of deteriorating mental health in the last couple months has really made me slide quite a bit in a lot of parts of my life,
Hmm.
like streaming and content creation, professional stuff, teaching, school work, even parts of relationship with my wife, and
Hmm.
just trying to really gather myself together and get better as much as not as quickly as possible, but as effectively as possible.
Hmm.
I actually got to spend a couple hours today playing Dance Dance Revolutions. Um, we built a like I have an arcade machine for it. It's sitting up
Hmm.
in my garage, but it's currently not like fully restored. It's gonna take me
Okay.
some time to get it up and running.
Hmm.
Um, so in the meantime, the troopers really wanted me to like somehow make a pad to put into the studio, so that's what we did. We
Hmm.
actually we built one with with my actual like Devastator Squad emblem on the
Yes.
fucking forefront of the pad. Um,
With the colors and
yeah,
everything.
uh-huh, uh-huh.
Yes.
So yeah, it got delivered today, so I got to like bust it out and I played for like 2 hours, and it was extremely therapeutic and nostalgic. I haven't played DDR in 10 years. It
Mm.
used to be a very big part of my life, from like 2004 to 2012. It was honestly like my second professional sport, I guess, away from playing sports in high school and middle
Mm.
school. So I put a lot of time and work into it. So it's really nice to be able to revisit that and have these like emotions again, you know?
Dude,
Uh,
I didn't know you did DDR, bro. That's
yep,
insane.
yep. Yeah, I've been playing. I played for a long time, and I took a big break. Once I got into college, I just kind of stopped playing it.
Mm.
So I really want to get back into it because for me, I mean, that's why I bought the arcade machine because it's always been a dream of mine to make to like have one of those.
Hmm.
So it's kind of like a passion project for myself to just in my own spare time, do something for me. I haven't done something
Hmm.
for me in a long time. I'm always doing things for other people.
Hmm.
Um, so it's nice to kind of like say that I get to do something for myself
Hmm.
for once.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And what I'm hearing is a lot of highs and a lot of lows. Like I'm hearing
Mm-hmm.
like where you might have had some issues in the past, and again, we're going to talk about those. We're going to get into detail. We're going to talk about school, absolutely, because I don't think we usually touch on that, or even in the chat for the Trooper Squad, don't know the amount of stuff that you're going through in that PhD program and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So
Right.
I can't wait to dive into that. But also, I'm hearing that you're reverting back to nostalgia to be able to boost up your mental health, and that's extremely important. Is that sometimes we have to stick to our roots in order to kind of pick ourselves back up. And I love to hear that, man. And I also noticed that with all the not even just Battlefront, too, but Battlefront, like the original series, you played Lego Star Wars. I know you played Knights of the Old Republic and Jedi Knight. And so I know you've been, playing a lot of oldies just to kind
Yeah.
of like get in touch with yourself. I love that, man.
Mm-hmm.
Let's start with the boring stuff. All right, we get that out of the way, and then we'll get into detail.
Boring stuff.
Hey, man. Listen, for us nerds, this is awesome, but for the rest of them, just sit back and relax, get some popcorn. So, Dazu the Devastator, is that what I'm calling you today?
You
Mini
can just call me
Dazu?
Dazu, to be completely honest. Um, I think Devastator's too long. Maybe that Devastator part might fall off someday. I don't know, but
I don't know. You leave a
that's a conversation for another day.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, you devastate the competition every time I watch you, man. You're top of the board, so I don't think it's that time yet. What about race?
Race.
Yeah, race.
Well, hey, if you could going off, I guess
Just basic.
The
Yeah.
term.
Yeah.
I'm white.
What?
If you're going that route,
Mhm.
ethnically, I'm German, Italian, a little bit Irish. Yeah, I'm a European guy, straight up.
And Dazu, like in a past conversation, we talked about you grew up in Germany.
No, I did not grow
No.
up in Germany.
Oh, you were just there. You were just you have
Yeah, I've
family there,
I've
right?
visited and been to Germany many
Okay.
times.
Okay.
But I didn't grow up there. I grew up in the United States, in California.
Okay.
But
Gotcha.
I was very much in touch with my German side of my family growing up, learning the language and taking it in school as well to continue to further it from what I couldn't get taught at home.
Hmm. And
But
that has that having a second language is almost sometimes I identify by my French side more than my U.S. side, and then it goes
mhm.
back and forth. So that provides some kind of heritage for you and your family is having that German background. What about your stream platform? So you use Twitch, right?
Yep, just Twitch.
Just Twitch. So in total, how many years have you been gaming since birth?
How many years have I been gaming since birth?
Yep.
I've been gaming since we got our Super Nintendo in 1995.
Mm,
So I would have been 4 years
mm,
old.
4 years
First
old.
game I ever played in my life actually was Killer Instinct, because that game came with the system,
Mm-hmm.
and then we had all the Donkey Kong countries, and we had all the Super Star Wars, Jurassic Park, Toy Story, Aladdin, and so many other great games. I mean, just Link to the Past, Super
Mm.
Metroid. Super Nintendo was so cool. I'm glad I got to get born into that like hot contested battle between Nintendo and Sega. Like it was the coolest thing to be a part of. And just see Nintendo come out on top the entire time was just always beautiful. I'm not
And
trying to throw shade on any Sega fans out there. I did frequently visit my neighbor's house when he had a Sega Genesis and a Sega Saturn. And we had the Nintendo consoles at my house, so we got along swimmingly.
and you played a lot of variety of different games, not just Star Wars. Like you
Hmm.
got into a lot of different stuff.
Oh yeah.
Was there some power into being a variety gamer and getting a taste of different
I
stuff?
think not really not really power per se, but I think as far as variety gaming goes, I think it allows you to kind of interact with people in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that I think is very powerful with gaming is that it's an extremely social activity when
Mm-hmm.
you're not even playing games, but let alone being live on Twitch and stuff, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Just going to school and talking to people about, oh, like what Pokemon did you catch when you were playing Pokemon Blue version last night? Oh, I got Caterpie and so on. Or, how far did you get in Majora's Mask yesterday? Like just being able to kind of like, I don't know, play all these different games kind of allowed me to have such different types of gaming conversations with my friends, and they were the same friends. Of course you go and find new people here and there as you got into different things, but your close friend group kind of also was interested in this kind of stuff. So I don't know, it made my relationships with my core friend group that I have been friends with for my entire life, stronger. We were able to experience all these things together, have these conversations together, as opposed to just being kind of one track, only doing like first person shooter games. There's only so much you can do, talk about, and also just experience as a gamer too. You can't solve puzzles really in first person shooters. You can't platform in first person shooters. So it's yeah, it's definitely like, in my opinion, a very powerful thing to be a part of variety gaming, whether if you grew up with it or just part of being it now in modern times.
And back then, multiplayer used to be, landline. You would just hop in with your boys and just go to town. I mean, we play, sometimes we go over a friend's house and then, we're playing on the Xbox in one room and playing in the other. No, it didn't used to be like that. It used to be like Smash Bros. We're both together. We're both talking shit right next to each other, but we're also, we're building that connection, just playing together. And I think you brought up that point really well. What about time spent streaming in total?
Time spent streaming on Twitch.
Mm-hmm.
I've been doing it for a little over a year. Started in March of 2020 with the whole, I'm going to just go and play Star Wars games and put on my Scout Trooper armor and see what happens. And it's, definitely been a very wild ride, to put it loosely. Definitely, hundreds, maybe even thousands of hours I've done Twitch streaming now, with a lot of successes and a lot of failures, a lot of mistakes, but also a lot of, a lot of good things, completions, etc., or, going into some really crazy goals, meeting certain goals, etc. But it's like any kind of experience you go through in life. It's not going to be flawless. It's not going to be perfect. And if you go into it thinking that that's going to be the case, then you're to put it loosely, like House always does, you're an idiot. So yeah, you have to definitely expect the unexpected, and the unexpected can sometimes be something really bad. But the unexpected could also be something so crazy cool, that just really livens your spirit and just gives you fire to continue pushing.
Yeah, and I've noticed the first year streaming is not the easiest because you're still trying to find your stream identity and all that. I felt like you found that really early when you started the stream, and you found that you were part of this 501st Legion and you wanted to take it to the world. How was you knew right away that what you wanted to do? Was there any pre-planning before you started streaming?
No, there wasn't any pre-planning to it. Honestly, it was just kind of like just something to try. Honestly, because during that time, my wife was, she got let go from work because of COVID. I couldn't go back to work either because of COVID. So I just became a remote student. So I figured, what else can I try and do? And I was because I've been kind of watching Twitch and researching Twitch last couple of months, and it seems like a pretty interesting gig. And I looked around and was looking at all the Star Wars content, and I was it's all very similar. Some people are very finding their niche and are very vibrant and different, but most of the people were very cut and dry and the same. And I wanted to kind of transform that mold a little bit and do something that was just not being done. And nobody was wearing Stormtrooper armor. Maybe helmets here and there. I saw a couple Mandalorian people from time to time as well. But no one was just full on doing this,
Right.
So that was my only planning going into it. And then once it took off really fast, then I started to figure out okay, maybe this can be something. So I sat down and figured out a business plan for the first quarter of streaming and what I can achieve, what I want to do, how I would get there, and then from there, that's just how it's been going. I've just been kind of rolling out phases of my business plan as I meet each checkbox on my mission. So yeah.
That's
now
awesome.
it's definitely all planned now,
Yeah, well, at this point, you got a staff and everything, man. You're already set to go. When you every day, how many hours per day would you say you stream on your regular schedule?
Well, in the past, I think consistently it was at least 20 hours a week.
20 hours a week.
Um,
Okay.
sometimes it was more, so upwards of 30.
Mm.
I think the most I ever did was I think 35, 40 hours at some point.
Oh
Um,
wow.
but that was way too much, in my honest
Yeah.
opinion. It was way too much.
Yeah. That's.
I've, I, I honestly would prefer to be very minimalistic about streaming if I could honestly have it that way. And if
Mm.
like a perfect world, I would only want to stream a couple days a week for just a couple hours and
Mm.
focus on other kind of avenues of my business.
Mm.
But until that is able to come to fruition, I have to play the game a little bit with Twitch and all the different kind of things. So I've been really trying to find that sweet spot of timing
Right.
the last couple of months, especially since I took a month off basically, trying to come back and find a groove. And I'm trying a new schedule right now, which is just going back down to 3 days a week at 6 7 hours a day. So trying to go for that 20 to 25 hours a week at most.
Mm.
But going into the daytimes again instead of being late at night because it's exhausting. It's starting to really wear on me being up super late every day,
Mm.
while also having to go through my PhD program and also being in a marriage and visiting family and friends and stuff. It's exhausting. I need my rest. So
Yeah.
that's kind of like why I want to try this new schedule. It's going to take some time for it to kind of stick with the community, but I think it will work for the best once it all settles in and the people start settling in with it.
Mm. And if you guys didn't know, Dazu just finished a 48-hour stream. I think it was what was it, last week?
Yep,
Yeah, it was
just a few
last
days
week.
ago. Yeah,
Yeah, just a few days ago to raise what was it, Mental Health America, right? I think
yeah.
that's
So
where you
all
raised money
all
from.
month long for May, since it's Mental Health Awareness Month, we've been
Mm-hmm.
taking donations for raising money for Mental Health America. I've only streamed like 4 times this whole month,
Mm-hmm.
and two of those streams have been marathons. I did a 30-hour stream and a 48-hour stream. The 30-hour stream was just a set duration. I wanted to go in and just do a 30-hour stream so if I could challenge myself to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And we raised over $2,000 for the charity in that one stream. And then the next one was established as a subathon where people can
Mm-hmm.
donate, and the donations would push the timer. And although I ended it at 48 hours, we raised enough for the timer was at over 66 hours by the end of the stream. So, like, I was absolutely blown away when I woke up the next day and saw the timer had that duration on it, and I was like, wow, the troopers really came hard for
Yeah.
the cause, and that really made me shed a few tears, to be completely honest. I do get emotional from the support that the community does bring.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think one of the hallmarks of what I do is I'm very, very much an open book and very transparent. I don't like to hide things. I don't like to keep things secret. I definitely don't like to wear my emotions like behind my mask. I definitely bring them out and try to talk through them,
Mm-hmm.
whether it be sadness or happiness, because I think it helps people to kind of be more relatable with you.
Mm-hmm.
If you can just be yourself all the time, I just think that people will want to relate to that. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I think one of the things that I really push is the mental health stuff, and me being able to kind of talk about my own struggle with mental health. Having the courage to do that gives people the courage to do it as well, to talk to somebody, whether they be on the stream or in Discord, or maybe just to go out and talk to their family, their friends, a therapist, whatever. That's what it's all about, honestly. Like, it's just finding that strength to take care of yourself, whatever that taking care of is. It's important. You got to take time for you. It's not
Right.
selfish to take
No.
care of yourself. It really isn't.
Yeah.
Um,
We're
so
we're also
yeah,
trapped in trying to take care of other people when we haven't really taken care of yourself. And I think Dasu's a great example. He's always doing things for other people. Sometimes he forgets about himself and he has to take a step back, and that's okay. Like, you can take that step back in order to kind of regroup and go back at it again. So I think Dazu is a great example of that, and I can't wait to dive more into that.
hmm
What about gaming? So you're streaming for a duration of time and you're gaming. What about just gaming in total per day?
gaming in total per day,
Mm-hmm.
not much.
Not much.
If I can be completely honest, I hardly ever game
Mm-hmm.
while I'm not streaming, and that's not because it's not because I don't want to. I would love to be gaming all the time like I used to be, in like early college and high school and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
but I don't have the time. I really don't. Like I just by the time I get up out of bed, I do my morning routine and then immediately got to go to work,
Mm-hmm.
and depending on the day of the week, my schedule determines what I'm doing. If it's schoolwork, if it's teaching, if it's, stream content, if it's creating things, armor projects, there's not enough hours in the day for all the things that I am entwined in.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't have the time to game really. Um, when I do get the chance, I do get like to sit down, for maybe like 2, 3 hours
Mm-hmm.
in the week and play whatever with people, whether it be my mods or people in the stream or
Right.
my wife loves to play games as well.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely would like to be able to fit a little bit more gaming or personal time like that back into my schedule because it is very useful.
Mm-hmm.
It is a very useful tool to not just kick back and shoot the shit with friends, but it's also a good way to kind of let loose and unwind from all of the stresses that you go through throughout your daily life through working, etc. Because yeah, I play games on stream, but I'm not playing games to play games. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
more of like a supplemental piece of my content, right? Like I'm
Mm-hmm.
not just gaming while I'm streaming. I'm doing a lot of other things, and I've also kind of twisted that a little bit lately. I have been focusing a lot more on just game specific stuff,
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to kind of my personality like I used to. So that is something I do want to kind of adjust and fix,
Mm-hmm.
um, because I'm not known for playing games. I'm also don't want to be known for playing games. I want to just be continue to be known for me and my personality. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I know that my core community has followed me since the start, or the ones that really love it every step of the way, whether they're new just the other day or they've been here a whole year. They continue to move around whatever I do, whether it be just chatting or squadrons, Battlefront, Old Republic, whatever the hell I do. They're there. They support the mission. And that to me is success, big time. If I can
Absolutely.
go into any category with the same consistent viewership, that's success.
Mm-hmm.
That to me shows that I am doing the right things to make my community how I believe the community should be.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know what I
And
mean?
they have a little leeway too. There's a lot of flexibility in the stream that I've noticed. The chat is always very rambunctious and very charismatic, but they also feed off this energy, and I think that's what Dazzy kind of brings in is that he has this energy going, and he does want to play games, but he's also interacting. He's having people really just kind of go back and forth with them, not just kind of sitting there answering a question and then going back to it. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that kind of builds this community that he had over time. I mean, I as I mentioned before, I started watching Dazu way before I started streaming, and Dazu knew me for a while just because I've always been wanting to play Battlefront with him, and then once I
Yep.
did get it, like that, it was just a fucking party. I'll tell you what, that and Squadrons, uh,
Yeah.
and we can talk about Squadrons in a bit, but for the most part, it's really that energy that kind of lingers around, and he passes it on to every person in the chat room, even though it might seem like he has so much energy. He doesn't always have it. He's just sometimes running on fumes, and that's important
Yep.
to notice. Like, he's doing it for y'all. That's a
Yep.
big part of it. What about social media? Is it the same as gaming? You only do it when you're streaming, and then.
No, actually, I try to be active on social media daily.
Mm,
Well, I definitely slipped a lot while I took my break. I did posts
mm,
here and there, but not as much as I was. But most like January, February, March, and coming back into now as I'm starting to come back, get my stride.
mm,
Yeah, I post on Instagram and Twitter 2, 3 times a day.
mm,
And it's a variety of different things. It's not just about my stream. It's about my cosplay projects. It's about passion. It's about following dreams. Part of it is like motivating people, and part of it is getting in touch with cosplay. Finding your strength to put on a costume because it's not easy.
mm,
And then also part of it is about gaming, right? It's about content that I push through Battlefront Squadrons or whatever I get into Sea of Thieves or something in the future.
mm,
So I try to keep a little bit of variety to it, because it definitely it keeps people, I think, much more interested. Because ideally, I want to tailor myself and my content more so to be, and I have been since March, to be more personable. To not really just be doing a lot of just Twitch stuff. I want to really step away from Twitch as my main thing because I've only been doing Twitch for this whole last year. I've and I got to admit, like I feel really like successful in a way that
Mm-hmm.
in I've only been streaming only on Twitch and I'm doing nothing else. Um, like I haven't been making YouTube content, to promote that. I don't go on TikTok. Like I don't go out and promote myself in other places. It's just the posts on Instagram and Twitter, and then just Twitch streaming. And I've been able to build a really strong community and go through so many crazy kind of moments.
Mm-hmm.
And complete pathway to partner. I completed pathway to partner in February. I've applied for partnership twice. Sadly, didn't get it. Once due to it was the first time and they were very new to the metrics, and the second time, for lack of a better word, it was robbed from me by some drama people. But at the end of the day, I don't really care. It'll come when it comes. I know it will. It's not a
Right.
matter of if, it's a matter of when, and I'm not gonna push it or stress it because I did push myself for that and stress myself out a lot about trying to get that achievement in January and February. And although I got it, it felt really like aggressive in my own personal like mind,
Mm-hmm.
because it's not really that important. At the end of the day, like, I am very successful without being a Twitch partner. Like honestly, very successful. I don't need it. It'd be nice to have it, sure, but like, I don't have to get that check mark to feel good about myself. And that is probably one of the biggest things that I took away from taking my break from Twitch
Mm-hmm.
was that, the quality of what I do is there.
Mm-hmm.
And I just need to refocus how I want to continue to push that narrative. And to kind of loop back into what I was saying is being more personable. I want to be more of a relationship with my community, like people being a part of my life. I
Mm-hmm.
want to kind of, I guess, for a role model, I would say like PewDiePie and Marzio, or Jenna and Julian, or Cinnamon Toast Ken and his wife, like people like
Mm-hmm.
this, like those kind of relationships, I really, really admire, you know. And some people may or may not like these people as content creators, but I very much love them, and I think they're very good at what they do, and the relationships they have with their significant others is breathtaking, especially when they both get into content together. My wife has kind of been teeter-tottering around that possibility. She's been being much more involved in my streams.
Yeah.
She's in the chat a lot. She's actually come on the stream twice
Mm-hmm.
already, and participated in stuff. And that was really big, honestly, for everybody that got to see it. Definitely really big for her.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that's kind of like what I want to get towards, is to be just be more involved as a personal relationship with my community. You know.
It's like this relationship between achievement and seizing the moment, and
Yes.
capturing that experience. Sometimes as streamers, we want to be able to measure progress, and we want to reach certain achievements and goals. But at the same time, what we also want to do is grow as a community and be a part for you guys, as well as you guys are a part of my journey, Dazu's journey, any streamer's journey. So I think there's certain things that you can get lost in within this industry, but at the same time, it's such an experience that has never been done before within the past 10 years. I mean, streaming is super new. That's what we're trying to do today, is just kind of get to know the person behind the streamer, but it's also to understand like this industry is not easy, but it's so rewarding.
Yeah,
So
it is.
um, before you started streaming, Dazu, how many social media platforms did you use?
Honestly, just Facebook.
Just Facebook.
And
Okay.
I stopped using Facebook like February of last year, and I just got back on it like maybe a month ago.
Okay.
And I only went back on Facebook to like go and look around for DDR machines to buy. But now I've been kind of like getting it back into my daily life, because I do honestly like, I don't miss being a part of just like looking through Facebook and stuff, because I used to be an absolute Facebook whore, dude. Like,
Mm-hmm.
sorry for the language, but I was on Facebook all the time. But now it's just like I do miss being able to connect with certain people in my life that I just don't have contact with anywhere else. That's kind of just like the novelty of Facebook. Whether they be people in the 501st or family, the long distant family, or friends overseas. People that I met when I was a professional Yu-Gi-Oh player. I've been all around the world. So Facebook was definitely a place where a lot of those relationships came to fruition outside of playing the card game. So it's been kind of nice to kind of talk to people. But yeah, before streaming, I was not on Instagram ever, not on Twitter, not on Snapchat, TikTok, nothing. You never find me on any of that kind of stuff. Just wasn't into it. But now I very much try to you get really like ingrained in it because it's extremely useful.
Yeah.
It's very, very useful.
How many social media platforms do you have now?
I am on Twitter. I am on Instagram. And I have a TikTok as well recently.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I
Discord.
will be making content for the TikTok. I actually have a lot of skits planned out. Once school gets out in 2 weeks, I'll be starting to shoot a lot of things for TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
YouTube as well. I'm on YouTube now. I have 2 videos published. I have 5 more that are in the pipeline to be up within the next week.
Mm-hmm.
And that's gonna be my next like big focus is YouTube, curated content. I have a lot of ideas for curated content for both gaming and personal life stuff, to just kind of move the narrative of Star Wars and of the Devastator Squad, but also just with me, Dazu, and like what I'm like going through my life.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so
You almost quadrupled the amount of social media platforms after you started streaming. That's insane.
absolutely. Um,
Yeah, do what you
I
gotta
mean,
do.
because like they're like I said, they're very useful. They're useful not only for discoverability, but they're useful for it's free advertisement. It's literally free branding, and I have met people that have given me sponsorship ideas and actual sponsorships, paid sponsorships through social media. And my social medias aren't even big; they're very small. Like I don't even have 200 followers yet on Twitter, and I don't even have 400 on Instagram. But my consistency of interaction on my posts, and the amount of people that I do get, coming through is very good. I think
Mm-hmm.
numbers wise, from percentage of interaction to follower count. I don't have like 5,000 followers and with like 40 likes. I have, not even 400, but I'm averaging 50, 60 likes on everything I post. So I think that's really good turnout,
Mm-hmm.
because it seems that a lot of the people that do follow me on social medias are my most dedicated and diehard fans. Through the stream and through Discord. Not a lot of just random people like come through like get on Twitch. So I very much thank I thank everybody who follows me around on those platforms and utilizes it because I'm getting into Reddit now too. I started a subreddit for myself and it's going to be launching here very soon with with a lot of content based around it
Mm-hmm.
for Twitch, for Discord, and for YouTube. So I'm very excited for that. Very, very excited for that because I think Reddit is a very great place. Very great place.
That's what you said. Free advertisement. Being able to put
Mm-hmm.
your name out, put some posts out. The likes will come, but it's really just being able to get your name out there and really kind of show your profile, you as a person, what you want to portray to others, and it's a very useful tool. So we could talk more about that towards the end. We actually have a
Mm-hmm.
question designated for anybody who wants to get into streaming. What are some things to consider? We can touch
Sure.
on that. All right. Congratulations. You passed the boring stuff. Here we go.
Thanks. Let's
Yeah.
go, chat. We passed the boring stuff. Yes.
So now we're gonna talk about you before you started streaming. So
Sure.
this is
Of
gonna be a
course.
lot of fun. So you mentioned that you played Killer Instinct. That was one of the games that you played as an OG game. I know there's a lot more out there, but is there a person that also helped inspire your gaming habits, or was it just
My brother.
your brother? Oh, okay.
Yes. Yep. Yep. My older brother. Definitely. We got the Super Nintendo together as a Christmas gift.
Mm-hmm.
And that was kind of like, because every year, growing up as a kid, we would always have like one big gift for the family at the end to
Mm-hmm.
open up. And as my parents started to have more kids, those started to change a little bit because after us, they had the 2 girls.
Mm-hmm.
So the gaming part kind of like it didn't really just teeter towards us. My sisters both are very very active gamers, and they still are.
Mm,
Um, but like they like much more. I would say the gaming stuff was more I kind of more relatable with my brother, especially since him and I did it first. You know,
mm,
my sisters are they're not crazy younger than me, but they are one is 3 years, and the other one is what 5 years younger than me, so 6 years younger than me.
mm.
Um, and my brother
Wow.
and I were only 4 years apart. So us getting that Super Nintendo together was really really cool.
Mm,
And kind of like getting into all these platforming games, and Killer Instinct being a fighter game too was that kind of like spawned my craving of PvP. So I've always
mm,
loved PvP games my whole life. I don't know, there's something about um, going against other people. Same with like why I really really got into Yu-Gi-Oh and Pokemon trading card games too is being able to kind of like um, it has nothing to do with just like wanting to beat somebody, it's more
mm,
so it's just like the interaction with people, being able to kind of like learn really quickly about how a person is just based off of just looking at them, or just playing
mm,
a 30-minute game with them. You can learn a lot about somebody, honestly, about their just mannerisms and their interactions with you while they're just sitting down and playing a card game or sitting next to you playing a like, Super Smash Brothers. Um, it's kind of weird to say, but it's true. After like doing it for my almost my entire life, you can meet really good friends that way. You could also meet some really shitty people that you just want to not be around and can avoid just off that interaction. You don't even have to talk
mm.
to them, right? You don't have to go through the process of like hanging out. You just play a game. You're like, yeah, you're not really that good of a person, so I'm kind of gonna avoid you.
That's true. I mean, like there are a shit ton of keyboard warriors out there,
Mm-hmm.
and I really kind of understood this once I transitioned to PC, and I started to see how interactive each community is. So you're not wrong about that. And I was just curious. You mentioned you have a brother and you have sisters. Uh, were you the middle child, right?
Yeah, I'm the middle child.
Yeah. What was that experience like?
Um, Honestly, wouldn't have wanted it any other way. I was kind of like the arbiter between all of the children because I did a lot of things that my sisters did.
Mm-hmm.
Like I hung out with them a lot. They were kind of like more so tomboyish, I guess, growing up.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Having two older brothers, but I was kind of like able to because it's 10 years apart from my brother and my youngest sister, so that relationship was very different when we were growing up. It's of course now we're all adults and all grown up, so we're much closer. But I was kind of like that person that was able to kind of like bridge the family together a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really know
Did
how to describe it, honestly. I know what it feels like because I lived it. I just don't know how to really describe it to somebody. You know what I mean?
was it you said being the glue kind of in the family, was that kind of a stressful role, or you said you loved being the middle child, so it must be like you
Yeah,
kind of
it
like
was
being.
very. It's very fulfilling, of course.
Mm,
Um, Being able to kind of help manage like the problems with my sisters because growing up they would always fight a lot. Now they love each other more than anything, but growing up they definitely were like always at each other's throats. So kind of like able to mediate that because my brother was not really involved because
mm,
he was when my sister was born he was going into middle school and high school almost, so
mm,
like he was very busy going through other parts of his life with his friends, right, and doing his
mm,
passion stuff because he was a film and music major.
mm.
So he was always making music and film stuff like all the time. Um, so yeah, like I was kind of being able to be that person for my sisters when they needed it, you know.
Yeah, that's super important to have that sibling that you can always go to. It can always really kind of bind that piece together. So that's if I have two older brothers. Growing up is never easy with that, but you know, as you grow up, you start to build these relationships, and those relationships start to get closer and closer. Or you
Hmm.
might have relationships that might just kind of dissipate over time. But in family, like you're never gonna have an easy relationship when you're young. Like you're all trying to figure shit out
Yeah,
for that. So, for you to be the peacemaker in the group really says a lot about you. Even at a young age, you were still trying to mediate and be a part of this group, and trying to keep things going as smooth as possible.
Right.
Uh, what what was your parents like when you were growing up?
They were awesome.
Hmm.
I love my parents so much. Um, they are definitely like the rocks of my life. Um, been with they've been through thick and thin with their own lives. We've been through definitely a lot as a family.
Hmm.
But growing up, they were always kind of just wonderful, wonderful people.
Hmm.
Um, and they're going on 40 years this year that they've been married. Their anniversary's coming up very soon next month. 40 years they've been together. Uh, so that tells you something about their commitment to each other and to the family. Of course, everyone goes through fights and shit, right?
Hmm.
Um, but I don't. My parents were never at the point like where they would have committed to separating, and I would very much like respect my parents for putting through like going through all of the shit that they did, but especially in like 2008 2009 when the crash hit
Hmm.
and we lost so much of our life and our livelihood. That was a big struggle. That really started a lot of depression in me and some demons in me. And it was really powerful to just kind of see my family still make it through all that shit and not split apart, not become distant from one another. We actually just got closer and closer and were able to kind of help build each other up.
Hmm.
Wearing different hats, at different times between sibling and between mentor and between friend and etc. Um, so that was really, really powerful, and I loved them for sticking it through and staying strong because it's very easy to give up, definitely. Um, in my close friend group growing up, most of my friends, I don't know why, but most of my friends in my close friend group, they have divorced parents. Very few of my friends growing up that I knew from, especially in high school, had families that were still together, and that was really devastating and heartbreaking to see. But it's such a common thing, sadly, especially here in California. It is very common. It's like
Hmm.
some 55% of marriages
Oh
fail
yeah,
in this state. It's
and it's getting higher.
ridiculously high.
It's getting higher.
Um,
Yeah.
and especially when people start marrying younger, it's. I mean, I'm not saying to chase your dream, not chase your dreams and chase your passion and your love with somebody, but definitely really think about it because it's a huge change. And me being married, I've been married almost 3 years now, 3 years this September, and I've been with my wife for 7, and I knew she was the one, And I've been with many people in my life, and I've never felt like I was ready to want to marry anybody until Lady Devastator.
Mm.
Um, and even then, it took a couple years for me to have those thoughts at all, but even wanting to propose to her, because it's definitely something that's a huge change of your life, and people don't really see that part. They kind of just get that love craze, and then they get together and they fall and they marry really fast or something, and it just sucks that a lot of that kind of ends in shambles.
Mm.
But I very much respect people who can continue to push forward with it because it's not easy. But trust me, it is not easy. But when you're doing something with your partner in crime, the person you really truly love, whether you're mad at them or not, at the end of the day, you know that they love you and you love them. So if there's something I can say about it is a testament to my parents, and I learned this from my parents, is just like when you're with the one you love and you're gonna be with them forever, you know it. You just know it. I it's cliche to say there's something as soulmates. A lot of people say that's bullshit, but I really truly believe that people can be soulmates with somebody. Soulmates doesn't have to be your lover. It could be a friend. It could be your best friend that's your soulmate. Like you're destined to meet each other and be buds for the entire rest of your life.
Mm.
But for me, I found that with my wife as a partner,
Mm.
and I would not replace her with anything in my life. Um, so
As I say
yeah.
to my clients, it's not a sprint; it's a marathon.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you've had so much experience with such a strong relationship, or even a familial connection, that you're able to kind of transition that now with Lady Devastator. And I think that's extremely important because as time goes on, there's going to be new issues that come up, and then there might be old issues that come up, but you're also communicating, you're working through those. So if you're getting married and you haven't had those downs, you're probably still in that honeymoon phase. You should
Mm-hmm.
probably start considering to getting to know that person a little bit more.
Yeah.
But as you said, there's always somebody, for you. You just
Mm-hmm.
taking the time. It's not going to happen. Like I'm telling you, if you're actively looking, it probably might not happen. But if you're just going and being yourself and just going about your business and you meet new people, that's where it really starts. So,
Yes.
lucky for you, Dazu. Like I'm really happy that you're going strong with Lady Devastator. Your parents are going strong. It seems like you have very tight. You have a very tight knit family, and that's really respectable. Uh, was there any pressure by your parents to, you know, occupationally find, something that you love, or was it something that they were like, oh, you might like this?
Um, no. My parents actually never pressured me to do any of the things that I do.
Mm,
I guess the only thing that I was forced into as a kid, and I'm not opposed to it. I actually very much respect the push, but was piano and baseball. When I was 4 years old, I got put into t-ball, and I
mm,
also got put into classical piano.
mm.
And I loved the t-ball right away. I hated the piano. I remember when I was a year into it, one of the days my instructor came over, and I shit you not, I wrote her a little note in my crappy scribble writing, and I left it on the piano, and it just said like, I quit. I don't want to play piano anymore. And I just went and ran into the other room and just sat there, and she read that, and she was just like, hmm. And my mom came and got me. She's like, "You can't quit. Come on, what's wrong?" And I went and sat up there and talked it out. It ended up not quitting. And I actually took piano lessons forever, and I don't take them anymore. I started teaching piano when I entered college, because I actually started going to college for musical performance on the trombone and piano, and musical composition as a minor, and then switched over to archaeology 2 years in. Um, because that was always my childhood passion outside of music was archaeology. Because it's like watching Indiana Jones as a kid. When I was like 5, 6, I was like super engaged with that,
Mm-hmm.
and I would just always run around. Just out because I come from an area that's very rural. Um, so there's a lot of land. The family lives on 2 acres, so there's
Mm-hmm.
plenty of opportunity, and there's no development. We're kind of like one of the only houses out there growing up. So we just go out and just cruise on our bikes and just like go into like forests and mountains and stuff, whatever, and just go around and all over and just
Mm-hmm.
pretend to find like ancient Egyptians or Greeks or even at one point dinosaurs. I
Mm-hmm.
still believe there's a dinosaur footprint on the hill at my house, my parents' house. I still believe that there's like this boulder in the hill, and part of it, kind of like part of the depression in the rock, looks like a velociraptor footprint. And growing up, my brother and I always believed we were unearthing dinosaurs there. And it's fun. And my nephew, he's 7 now. Him and I have gone out there and done the same thing, trying to go and find dinosaurs. It's kind of cool. He's into the same kind of stuff too. Um, but yeah, like my parents never pushed me to be like, you got to be a doctor, or
Mm-hmm.
you got to be a lawyer, or you got to keep sticking it out with this. I guess the only thing they pressured me to not do was to join the military.
Mm-hmm.
Um, when I was going to be graduating from high school, I was extremely dead set on graduating early because I could have graduated in my junior year,
Mm-hmm.
and I wanted to graduate early to go with my best friend to
Really?
join the army, infantry, um, and just kind of like not really do it to be a jarhead, but to do it to
Mm-hmm.
kind of get ahead, like to know that yeah, these years are going to be tough, but we can make use out of it. I can get school paid for with the GI Bill. I can get a VA loan, so I can get a no down payment on a house when I come out. If I decide to stay in it, I can retire through it. Like it was, I wasn't going in to just be a soldier. I was going into it because I wanted to do something with my best friend, travel the world, play army, but also get something really like beneficial out of it. Because I don't do things haphazardly. I don't jump into stuff just for the fucking hell of it. Sorry for my language, but I really think things through very critically and analytically before I do stuff, and try to understand like the benefit of why I should do it. Um, it's not like it's probably my most selfish trait I have is definitely trying to think about what I do,
Mm.
and not just jump into something without thinking about it first. But yeah, my
It's
family was very adamant that like you don't go in the military.
mm,
My dad was in the army though. My dad, was I think E9 in the army when he
mm,
left, and he was able to GI Bill and VA loan all this kind of stuff too. It was very beneficial for him. He told me though like go to college first. If you still want to
mm,
go after you have your BA or BS, then go into OCS, go in straight as a lieutenant,
mm.
and if you want to do it that way, do it that way. My mom was like, "Yeah, never. Don't go in the military." My moms, they don't want you to do anything like that. So I didn't go. I decided to uh, stay for my senior year of high school. Just took a bunch of bogus classes for credits because I had to. Ran cross country and track,
Mm-hmm.
for extra time because I had so much free time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and yeah, my friend went off to the military, and I just took that year to be with my other friends too. Growing up,
Mm.
because none of my other friends were graduating early or wanted to graduate early. They wanted to stick it out to senior year. And I'm glad I did because senior year was probably the one of the best years of my life. To be completely
Mm-hmm.
honest, senior year of high school was one of the best years of my life. And I am glad that I got to be told to not skip it.
Mm-hmm.
So I very much thank my family and my parents for that and definitely some conversations with a couple of the key teachers that I had at school when I was talking to them about like, hey, should I graduate early? Just go
Mm.
straight into just doing something else. So, yeah.
It sounded like you had a lot of good influence going on from your family, from school, from your friends. Like it it sounded like you were very committed to this decision of joining the military, and
Hmm.
obviously you've had some expertise with your dad. Maybe your mom had, I don't know what the story is behind there, but moms don't want you to join the military. They don't want you to get hurt.
No.
That's kind of the basic. I'm sure there's something else because if you're super adamant about not doing something, then it either comes from past experience or just comes from observation. Um, do you know what it was that your mom didn't want you to join the military for? You had a plan.
She didn't want me to go to war. She didn't want me to die. Um, you
Fair
know,
enough.
because you
Yeah.
always run the risk of that. Especially because my friend enlisted as army infantry.
Mm,
Um, and he ended up going through ranger school, and he wanted to do airborne assault and airborne as well.
mm,
But um, he got really messed up. He blew out his knee during ranger school, and
mm.
um, he finished the ranger tab. He got the ranger tab. Actually, I have it. He gave me his ranger tab, and I wear it on my backpack. um, but yeah, he blew out his knee finishing the training, and he also really messed up his back doing Tomb of the Unknown Soldier stuff. So um, he didn't stay in very long, um, and it's really affected his life a lot. It's changed him a lot as a person, having to like be in just really crazy constant pain all the time, um, and it sucks. Honestly, it really sucks to kind of see him have changing so much. And he's still a wonderful person. And I love him very much, but it's definitely hard to see him in so much pain. Um, but it's part of it. It's part of the culture. Like he was living the culture of the military, especially doing ranger stuff. Like not everyone decides to do ranger school or airborne assault or airborne. You know, these are like kind of like people that take it to that next step, push it to that next level. So like if you know, bitch out of ranger school because you hurt your knee, like people are gonna talk crap on you. You're not gonna live it down, and like that's kind of like the vibe and the culture being part of that kind of part of the military. So he didn't want to be, he didn't want to be the bitch that like got hurt and was just like, yeah, I'm not gonna finish because I got hurt. I want to push myself to the end, and he did, but at a pretty big cost.
You know,
But he did, have a very successful run in the years that he was there, though. He was thankfully never had to go to combat. He got put in. He almost did actually. I
hmm.
remember he called me once, and he was gonna get deployed to Libya,
Oh
because
wow.
of all the tensions that were going on in Libya back in like 2012.
Yeah.
And he was, talking to me kind of like as the next point of reference, next point of kin, rather, which makes him and I are like basically like brothers in a way,
Mm-hmm.
not by blood, but by
Mm-hmm.
just by relationship,
Mm-hmm.
friendship. So I was kind of like being kind of like enacted as his next point of kin outside of his parents in the event that he was going to be killed in action. That I'd be notified and then I'd be kind of be involved in the process of like what's he do with his family, if he passed. That was a really stressful and sad conversation to have. But it was like very like real, like this is real world, like
Yeah.
this is what my mom was talking about. I could have been having that conversation with my parents, with my brother, right? Um, Thankfully, it didn't go that way, and thankfully, he ended up not having to go to Libya. He actually got put into the old guard in
Mm.
Arlington, Virginia. So he actually got to do all of the burials for people
Mm-hmm.
in the military cemetery in Virginia. He also got to do all the 21 gun salutes with the government, like Obama and stuff. He met
Right.
Obama many times. I have his first three shots that he fired from his rifle during his first 21 gun salute. He gave me the shells, and
Oh.
I still have them to this day in my little like shadow box of memories.
That's awesome. I mean, if you guys haven't been to Arlington Cemetery, I know it seems like, it's a gloomy place because it's a cemetery, but it's really powerful. Like, you go there, you look on the walls. My grandfather's there already on the walls with my grandma. Like, you walk around there, you see um, Holocaust survivors. You see,
Hmm.
obviously, all different branches of military. You need to apply 6 months to a year in advance to be able to get a spot there. That's how powerful it is, and that's how popular it is. So, if you're in Washington D.C. and you're just walking around, check it out. But that's such a powerful thing. Your friend gave you those two shots. When he when he did that, how were you feeling when he gave you those bullets?
I mean, it's extremely honorable, man. I mean,
Yeah.
um, those are like the first three, right? And it's not an event that most people do, and most people in the army don't even get to do that. It's a
Mm.
very specific role to be put into the honor guard or the old guard rather. Um, so like I thought, I'm very blessed that he thought of me and wanted to share that experience with me from a distance. Because I didn't go with him and be a part of a part of it, like next to him. Firing the next rifle or him giving me the command because he eventually became the command. He gave the cadence for the 21 gun salute. So yeah, we weren't doing it together there, but we got to do it together in passing when he gave me the shells. So,
Do you ever consider him a knight of the old republic?
Knight of the Old Republic. I guess you could call him that, sure. A Knight of the Old Republic, yeah.
We'll just go with that. So, I want to kind of tap into 2008, 2009 that you mentioned.
Sure.
It was a very stressful year, with the economic crash and
Uh
everything,
huh.
and a lot of people, lost a lot of property, a lot of things, and even with materialistic things, you're also losing, investments and stuff that you want to be able to carry on to next year. But because of
Yeah.
everything going down, it was very stressful for a lot of families. Um, talk Give me kind of like an example of like stress and like anxiety that you were dealing with throughout those 2 years.
My mom went back to work.
Mm-hmm.
My mom was a stay-at-home mom. She was, the dream mom role for my entire life up until then, because my dad lost work. He lost everything. Because up to that time, he had started a new business. He owned multiple businesses up to this point, and he was starting a new one, and they were putting like everything was on the line with this business.
Mm-hmm.
And when the crash hit, his partner backed out when they were going to sign the deal with the investors to actually fund the business. The guy got cold feet, and it completely screwed everything up. And my dad had put everything into that, and it devastated him. You know, he lost a lot from the crash. Equity in the house, investments,
Mm-hmm.
businesses, retirement funds. It was a nightmare, Matt. And losing that next gig as well was a huge thing. And he actually was like it was really hard for him. He took him a while to kind of like get through it, honestly, and that was really hard to see because my dad was always like the champion in my life. I'd never seen him down, never seen him vulnerable before until that point. And that really hit me hard. And it really hit me even harder when I had to see my mom go to work. She had to take up a job.
Mm-hmm.
And like she got a really good job. She was like basically the head of HR for Urban Decay Cosmetics
Mm-hmm.
in Costa Mesa. But eventually, they became L'Oreal. She worked with L'Oreal. Um, but yeah, that's not close. It's on the 91 freeway, which for us, any Californians who are in the chat or watching us on YouTube, you'll know that 91 is the worst freeway in the entire state. Probably one of the worst in the entire country. Um, yeah. So like, it's not like the beaches aren't far from where we live. It's
Mm-hmm.
maybe like 40 miles or so, but it takes 3, 4 hours to get there in traffic every morning and every night. So my mom was having to, get up at 4 a.m., drive out there to get to work, and then come home in the afternoon and be here just in time for dinner. And my dad kind of shifted into that role of being more of a at-home person, and he started doing more consulting stuff, and eventually got on his feet and started, working with Sony. He worked with Sony for a while, and
Mm-hmm.
now he's working. He's like the lead project manager of a new company. I forget the name of it, but it's a very, very big. It's already publicly traded. It's worth millions and millions and millions of dollars. So I'm very proud of him to have come. He came back, a couple years, but definitely was a tumultuous process for sure
Mm-hmm.
for everybody. Um, but yeah, it really hurt me to see my family go through that for sure.
It's
And
not.
that
Go
was the
ahead.
first time in my life that I ever got depression or felt sad. Like really, like legitimately, just like, wow, life sucks. Like I
Mm-hmm.
never felt that way before until that point. And yeah, I was. How was I in 2008? I was like 15, 16. So I was like,
Okay.
good
Mm-hmm.
halfway through my life already from how old I am now. I was,
And that's tough. You were going through high school at the time, like you were
yeah,
in the midst of like
I was
figuring out.
going into my sophomore year. Yeah.
Yeah. And you were trying. I mean, at that stage, you're trying to figure out. You need to go to college, or you need to there have to have a step after high school. And in the midst of this economic crisis, you're trying to figure out your identity. Within at the age of 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, like all throughout that range of adolescence. So was there a lot of pressure to kind of find yourself so that you could help your family in this time of need?
Um, yes, definitely. Um, this was the point of my life where, I really needed to be available for people and make myself available to talk to people for my own good,
Mm-hmm.
because I didn't feel like I could talk to my parents about the feelings that I had or the struggles that I felt I was going through, this depression, right? Because they were also feeling the same thing, so I didn't really think it would be helpful. So it was definitely a point in my life where I turned to a lot of um, just a lot of activities. I did a lot of stuff going through high school, a lot of gaming, a lot of just social stuff, track, cross country, track, music, a lot of AP classes to just keep myself busy, to not have to deal with it, not think about it. And a lot of these things helped me to kind of shape myself to be much more responsible, much more focused and driven, passion driven, um, but also much more of like much more of like a well-rounded, approachable person, who other people could also come and confide in me and talk to me through their whatever they're going through after, me opening up to them and telling them how depressed I was, right?
So I'm seeing like you open up for communication with others, in times of struggle, but it also seems like you kind of stay busy, like you keep in your mind busy so that you don't linger. What happens when you're bored or you're just sitting around, just in general.
Um, well, I don't really get that way. I really keep myself busy all the time,
Yeah.
except when I'm sleeping. I've been that way for a long time.
Mm,
I think the last times I was really like bored and not really doing much,
mm,
um, was when I was going through a lot of depression, back in end of my junior year, going into
mm,
my senior year, that summer. Probably one of the worst times of my life, personally. And I did not do a lot back in that time. Um, kind of a lot of, yeah, idle time.
mm,
Um, and I think that kind of triggered me to kind of have this weird feeling that idle time was toxic, and
mm,
that kind of sitting around doing nothing was not gonna do me any good and be successful. So I really just pulled myself together after some really bad experiences, um, to kind of like refocus myself, refine myself. And that came with going in my senior year, deciding to take up cross country and track, because
mm,
I wasn't running those before. I was only doing music. So I
mm,
wanted to just do a lot of stuff to keep myself busy as much as possible. Um, because I didn't want to use it as an excuse. I didn't want to use it as a distraction either. I wanted to
mm,
use it as a mechanism to keep my mind apt.
mm,
Aptitude is a very important part of getting through this process of sadness and depression and demotivation,
mm,
um, and being able to kind of like do a lot of these things, especially physical stuff,
mm,
really helps to keep you just mentally fresh. It's invigorating.
mm,
There's nothing better than running like 20 miles and just being like, just let out a deep breath. Like, your mind is empty, you're just rolling through. You don't have to worry about any of this thing. And that was a great way for me to get over my depression and all my demons, was running. Honestly, like, do it. Do it. Like, people that are listening to this, like, if you're feeling down, just like get out and run, or get out and go to the gym, drop down, do some push-ups, go for a drive, roll the windows down and just go cruising, put some music on and just jam. But don't do those things in like a really bad mood,
mm,
because it can affect the way that you carry yourself. Like, if you're running really, really pissed off, it might not go well. Definitely don't drive if you're mad, right, or
mm,
super down, because you might get into an accident or do something stupid. But definitely use it as a way where if you're starting to feel worked up, you know, it's an escape, and it's a healthy escape,
mm.
because it stimulates your body, you know,
And
and
on the other side, in escape, we also talk about video games being an escape as well, to be able to
yes.
take away from the stresses going on in day-to-day life, and being able to come and hop on and kind of lose yourself in this virtual reality. How did Star Wars kind of play into all this?
Into my life.
Yeah.
Um, well, 1997,
Mm.
when I went and saw A New Hope at the local cinema. Because in '97, that's when George Lucas made the re-releases, the little
Mm-hmm.
special editions. For anyone that remembers those VHS tapes with Darth Vader on the front, Yoda, the Stormtrooper, and on the spines. They have
Yes.
like the black one, the silver one, and the gold one. I actually have them all here in the studio, just chilling in with some of my setup here.
Yes,
Um,
sir.
but yeah, like watching Episode 4, A New Hope, on the big screen was just like, wow.
Mm-hmm.
I had never seen anything like that. I was growing up, I was like a Disney kid, just Disney cartoons and like, Saturday morning cartoons, Nickelodeon, like Rugrats, Rocko's Modern World, Rocket Power, all this kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But like, yeah, sitting down and watching Star Wars was so cool, and I got addicted. My mom liked it. My dad really liked it. My brother really liked it. It's just a big part of my whole family. Like, literally, my whole family is just loves Star Wars. My wife likes it too, and she didn't care for it until we got together. Now she like really, really likes it. Um,
I
because
would
she's
hope
gotten to
so.
be super involved with it, not just
Yeah.
with the films, but behind the scenes. Me being in the 501st, she's my plus one, so I get to bring her around all these cool places behind the scenes that people just don't get to go to, right?
Mm-hmm.
Kind of one of the beautiful perks of being in the 501st, but you know. It gets you to kind of like see Star Wars for a different thing,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what the beauty of Star Wars is to me, is that Star Wars encompasses anything. Okay. Um, yeah, I watched the original films and got hooked on it and got hooked on Micro Machines and all the figures from Kenner and stuff. But it continued in my life because it was something that my family did all together. And it is something that my family still continues to do all together. My nephews both are obsessed with Star Wars. My
Mm-hmm.
7-year-old nephew can read fucking Arabesh, bro.
Mm-hmm.
He went to Galaxy's Edge and got the like dictionary to Star
Oh,
Wars, and he like learned how to read the script. And I'm just like, wow, man, like you love Star Wars too. Um, and I'm just so proud of him, you know, to be a part of something like this, because it is definitely something that encompasses all ages. And being a part of it on Twitch has definitely helped me to kind of really see that. You
mm-hmm.
know, I knew that beforehand, in a little capacity, being in the 501st, going to most of the events. A lot of the events we, kind of go to um, are more so geared towards children, or kind of the younger crowd.
Mm-hmm.
Like Star Wars reading days, or cancer kids, Make a Wish Foundation work, children's hospital visits, school visits, stuff like that. Um, but at the end of the day, there's everyone in between involved, and
Mm-hmm.
that's why I continue to want to be a part of it.
How did you get into the 501st? What was kind of that starting point?
So Comic Con, honestly, was what started it.
Comic Con. Okay.
Yeah, I used to go to San Diego Comic Con. First one I ever went to was like, I think like 2004, 2005.
Mm.
Um, and I remember seeing all the stormtroopers, and I was like, no way! Like that's a thing. You could literally make armor from the movies and just walk around. Like that is so cool. I have to do that someday. Um, and then I went to Star Wars Celebration in Los Angeles around the same time, and that's when I met a lot of 501st people.
Hmm.
A lot that I still talk to and am very close friends with to this day. This was 2007, 2006. I think that's when Star Wars Celebration 4 was. Um, been a hot minute, but
Mm-hmm.
it's been a while. Uh, and then in 2007, on New Year's Day, I marched in the Rose Parade. And for anyone here that knows, in the American, the Rose Parade every, January 1st. It's a big deal. I actually marched in that with my high school marching band. And the
Hey.
501st was in it that year, 2007, the 501st Legion March, and I got to march behind the fucking 501st and saw them all in their armor getting ready behind the scenes, and I was like, dude, I have to be a part of this club. How do I do this? And then yeah, like as I kept going to Comic Cons during my high school years, I got just got closer and closer with people around the area, and eventually, it got to the point where I made my armor. I was 14 years old when I made my first set. A lot of it was like really just cheaply put together
Mm-hmm.
DIY stuff, but the armor parts were like full on. The one that people see on my streams a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Not this one, but my OG scout armor, just that purely white, just all battle damage and crap. That was the one I made when I
Oh
was
wow.
14 years old. And yeah, that was what I went into the 501st with when I turned 18. Because at the time you couldn't be an official member until you were 18 years old. Now they have like a
Oh.
little like a galactic founders thing where people that are younger, because a lot of kids get involved in costuming. Well,
Mm-hmm.
so it's kind of cool to see that they're embracing and allowing more kind of like teenagers to be more officially involved with the 501st, and so they can get in at 18. But yeah, I was kind of like the unofficial member. I was like literally behind the scenes. I was at all the events. I wasn't actually on the roster. I wasn't on the actual event page. But I was
Right.
just this little like kid just cruising around in my own armor because it was really good. After like getting help with other people, um, it might really crappy. I'll actually pull out some pictures. Um, I'll dig through my old hard drives and find some pictures of the first version of the armor at 14 years old, and what
Yes.
it looked like a year later after transformations of working with people in the 501st,
And
and getting it to the point where it was ready to go. And I actually was the poster child at Star Wars Celebration 5 for the Pathfinder detachment, which is the detachment the Scout
oh.
Troopers are a part of.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we did a costuming panel for all of the armor in the 501st, and I actually got picked by the Pathfinders to be the like best looking scout trooper in the 501st Legion. That was battle damage to kind of show the difference between a non-weathered armor and a weathered armor. So that was really cool, and that was right when I joined. That was at 18, 2010, my first big event, Star Wars Celebration 5, and I got to be on the big stage as like the, the poster child of the Pathfinders. So that was so cool.
Did you feel like sexiest man of the year at that
I
moment?
did. That was my sexiest man of the year moment.
That's awesome, dude. And like you found this at a young age. Like again, we go back to 14, 15, 16. Like you
Hmm.
found the Legion, and then I guess band was like a whole nother thing from the past. Once you found this 501st, you literally were right behind in your band, and you saw this group, and you were like, "This is freaking cool, man."
Yeah.
And that's all it takes is really just looking at something to be like, this is interesting, this is intriguing,
Hmm.
I want to try it out. So you've done so many events with the 501st. You've done fundraisers, you've just had events at like Comic-Con, yeah, you went Star Wars Celebration, all this stuff.
Hmm.
um, at this point, being a part of the 501st, um, do you kind of contribute a lot of the armor building that you have on stream, and encouraging cosplay as kind of a result of the 501st Legion?
No, my love for cosplay came out of my childhood.
Hmm.
After like, I've always dressed up. Like honestly, like some of the like furthest back memories I have as a kid, as like 3 years old, was just like cruising around in cowboy boots and a cowboy hat and just pretending to be like in the Wild West,
Hmm.
or playing cowboys and Indians, cops and robbers, but also just like dressing up as mainstream stuff too, like Power Rangers, dude. Like I was the Blue Ranger and my brother was the Red Ranger, you know. I was Michelangelo, my brother was Raphael. We were Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles as well. Um, and when we watched Star Wars, I became a stormtrooper. They brought out in '97, they brought out Halloween costumes for Star Wars. My brother got the Vader one, I got the stormtrooper one. So that was my first ever thing as a trooper. And, that to me, I still have that costume at my family's house, dude. Uh, it's so funny. But like, yeah, like my love for costuming has been my entire life, you know and taking it to that next level of turning it into something of not just high quality but of passion out of purely just fandom,
Hmm.
um, has been really cool. And it's also just been a really interesting challenge, to kind of make this stuff from the ground up, to make these helmets. And now getting involved in 3D printing. Like the stuff I'm wearing now, this none of this was 3D printed. This was all vacuum formed.
Hmm.
Another way of making costumes from sculpting. You actually like sculpt pieces,
Hmm.
as masters. But now we're doing 3D printing with my good friends, and we've actually, my two newest helmets in the stream, the tank trooper and the shore trooper, which are both painted blue like this. This is our
Hmm.
Devastator squad look, for our community. Those are 3D printed, and we're making more right now. We're making a whole set of armor 3D printed now to test out the capability of it. And I know the capability is there because a lot of 501st people have turned to 3D printing. Um, it's such a beautiful, beautiful art. Um, so like we've attracted a lot of 3D printers in our community actually through Twitch. I think there's about 8 now in our Discord that are constantly talking to each other about projects and being a part of this, and it's super cool. Um, so that is the part of content that I really want to dive into a lot going forward, is the costuming, is the cosplays, kind of like talking about the narrative of not just how I got into it, but how you make this stuff, right?
Hmm.
How can you put it together? How can you get started? It's such a daunting beast to get thrown all this information at you. Like, what do I do with that?
Hmm.
Um, so I kind of want to really take that on because no one's doing it. No one is
Yeah.
really just like putting a face to the costume, but also making a story out of it with their community. No one's doing that. So that's something that I really want to focus on for sure.
It almost feels like kind of like D&D. You're making these characters, and again, each character has a story, and you just kind of take that along. Like, what was it? Uh, what's your Padme? Was it
God's
Dasme?
made. Yeah.
Dasme? Yeah. Like that. There's the story right there. You don't need to know much. You just know that he's looking fresh, and
Got
this
the
is like
dress back there in the closet, man.
yes, we're gonna see that real soon. I hope. Uh, I, there was one question I wanted to know for the armor that you're wearing and for your OG armor and all that. How do you clean it? Like, what's the way to clean this your 3D printed gear?
Um, Rags on it. Just a couple rags to kind of just like dust them off. If you want to keep them polished, there is a polishing kit that you use. It's a multi-step bit of different sprays
Mm-hmm.
that you spray on and wipe away and then buff to make
Mm.
them nice and polished. My current stuff that I'm wearing is polished because it was, I just made this armor 3 months ago. Hasn't
Mm.
had the time to kind of set in. Um, my OG armor though is it's been out in the sun too much and the plastic yellows and deteriorates kind of its color and shape and stuff from being in the sun so much. But I'll never go back and repaint it. And definitely will
Oh
never make it
no.
shiny. That wasn't the point. The whole point of that costume was to be damaged,
Mm-hmm.
was to be that just like that scout that stuck out like a sore thumb in every event. And I did. Me and one other guy, my 501st brother, TB 1250. Him and I were the most battle damaged scouts around, man. And it was so cool because like we always had that reputation, like everywhere we went. And we also wear shoulder pauldrons. I actually
Mm.
have it here. Him and I would wear shoulder pauldrons like stormtroopers and
Oh,
sandtroopers wear, and we would put our patches on them, like our
that's sick.
501st swag. So I've got like my Garrison, Southern California Garrison's limited edition patch
Uh huh.
from 2007. That's the Pathfinder's badge. There's the troopers. That's the Trooper Squad badge. That's mine for the stream, and these are all our like sub badges that we give out each month to our subscribers. We mail these out.
Oh.
But yeah, we would wear these. We would wear these pauldrons, and people were just like, Scout Troopers don't wear those. But I mean, look at
Mm-hmm.
all the games now. Scouts now have pauldrons and everything. Force Unleashed, Fallen Order, Battlefront. Like Scouts are always wearing pauldrons now. So we kind of changed the script, being
Yes,
rebel,
sir.
right? We were rebels in the Empire.
Did I remember from what was it, the Twin Suns tournament, you did the videography. I didn't know you were doing that behind the scenes, but you had a rebel pilot outfit. I was like, where was this? Like, I've never seen you wear this.
Yeah, I've never pulled it out. We I got it together, and we just pulled out of squadrons too quick. And
Hmm.
yeah, I never got the chance to wear it. I'm definitely gonna bring it out because we do have a channel villain, Aaron Gunner, the rebel, who hijacked me and captured me and my droids on April 1st for April Fool's Day. I got to just play as a rebel the whole time. And that was a lot of fun. A lot of like a whole bunch of scavenger hunt questions and like green screen clips that I created that people
Mm.
unlocked throughout the stream as they solved questions from the scavenging hunt to find where I was. And that was a really fun experience. I definitely want to do something like that again. I think the community really, really liked it. Kind of like role playing while they were on Twitch with me.
Mm.
That was really different and very well received, for sure.
So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Dazu keeping it fresh, keeping it new, always having something creative to bring to the table. And it's not even just creative to just have content. It's for you guys to interact and have fun. We are playing games, but we're gonna have fun while we do it. So,
Hmm.
you can always count on when you go in, check out the Trooper Squad, that you can see all that. Let's start diving into I'm sorry, into the streaming scene, right?
Sure.
So you talked a little bit about Yu-Gi-Oh and playing that competitively. I know that you were top 500 for Overwatch at one point.
Yep.
Uh, Tell me a little bit about that journey in competition and leading up to now.
So, yeah, competitive gaming for me was always like a big part of my life. Started with Super Smash Brothers on the N64, actually, um, and kind of just having like local tournaments with people here and there. Nothing serious, but just playing at a little better than at the average person, right?
Mm-hmm.
So kind of wanting to get that little like competitive edge out of it was always fun. To
Mm-hmm.
test your skills with other people from other cities and stuff like that. Um, and then Super Smash Bros. Melee came out in 2001. And
Mm-hmm.
we were playing that because it was like the next Super Smash. But then, you know, what, 4 years later, 5 years later, people started figuring out all the advanced techniques and crazy shit in that game.
Yeah.
Ken and Mewtwo King and all these old, really old Super Smash Bros. Players. Um, and I got really hooked into that, man. Like I sat down and like learned all of this stuff in 2007, 2008, and I went hard in Super Smash. Like I was power ranked. I was really, really good at
Mm-hmm.
Melee. And then Brawl came out, and I got really down into Brawl too. I was actually the number one person in my entire area for Brawl. I won like, almost every tournament, or definitely was always in top four in the grand finals. Um, and Melee still played Melee though a lot and competed in it. Went to some national championships for Melee. PAX was my favorite one out in LA and Santa Monica. That was really really cool. Got to sit down and like play with like Mango and Hungry Box and M2K and all these big players. Fly Manita, Lucky, Leffen, list goes on, dude. And a lot of these people still
Yeah.
play Smash, which is pretty cool. They're going into Ultimate. I gave up on Smash after Brawl. Um, and I switched over to strictly just to card games, for a while. I've been playing card games forever. Like I started collecting Pokemon cards when Pokemon came out in the late '90s,
Mm-hmm.
and then Yu-Gi-Oh. I got onto Yu-Gi-Oh right when Yu-Gi-Oh came out in the U.S., like 2001, 2002. My dad actually came home from Toys R Us one day, you know, and he actually like just dropped Yu-Gi starter deck on my bed. And he's like, "Hey, check this out! This new game just came out. It looks pretty cool. You want to try it?" I was like, "Sure." Opened it up and I was like, "Damn, these are wicked! Like way different than Pokemon cards, man. It's like demons, magicians, shit, like warriors." I was like, "Whoa, dragons! Nothing like Pokemon, man." Um, Very realistic art styles, not all animated and cheap and cute like Pokemon was.
Mm-hmm.
So that really caught my eye because it was super different. Read the rules, totally confused, had no idea what I was doing. But then the anime came out, and
Mm-hmm.
although the anime at the time for Duelist Kingdom arc did not teach you how to play the real game in any
No.
capacity, the rules in that were like the original Yu-Gi-Oh rules from when Yu-Gi-Oh first came out with Bandai in Japan, and a completely different version of the game. But they kept the rules in the first version because that was the adaptation from the manga. But
Mm-hmm.
when Battle City came out, they finally started to teach you, and then we were like, oh, okay, so you can't attack your opponent's life point directly. You have to tribute one. You can't just summon blue eyes from your hand, you know. Um, but yeah, I got really crazy into Yu-Gi-Oh like early on.
Mm-hmm.
And like 2002, 2003, I was competing at regional championships, and I was a kid. And I was doing really well. I was having positive win to loss ratios, and I was always really proud of myself being 10, 11 years old, 12 years old, and going and being like 5 wins, 3 losses. Like I would never top the events, never, like in any
Mm-hmm.
capacity, or win them. you know wasn't my goal. I just wanted to go to compete and just like do something and just kind of like make a fun deck that wasn't really the best deck in the game because I couldn't afford it. you know but I was still able to perform because I was just a good card player. I was like, just a good strategic player. um and that carried into my passion for Melee and for Brawl. And then I picked up Yu-Gi-Oh again in college because I started it as a job,
Mm-hmm.
um like buying and selling. I got back into Yu-Gi-Oh primarily as just like a monetary thing. Like it wasn't to play it. I started my own business with it, and I partnered up with some people and opened up a card shop, and that was really tight. I did that for quite some time, and in the process, I got hooked into the playing again. I was always playing the game for fun and doing local
Mm-hmm.
tournaments with friends and stuff. I actually would hold tournaments at my house, for like the entire area, because there was no local card shop back then. So we would have like 20 people just come over to my house and just like open up their garage and shit and just put out tables, and we would just game, just play. And like I would give out prizes. I would go and buy like booster boxes and like play mats and stuff and give them out for prizes so people weren't just sitting there not getting anything out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so in 2011, I decided to try competitive Yu-Gi-Oh again because I
Mm-hmm.
was always just like messing around with it. But in
Mm-hmm.
2011, got into I decided to bite the bullet. I'd always been playing just like decks I liked for fun. I was never playing competitive decks or like top decks. But 2011 in November, this new set came out called Photon Shockwave, and it had a
Mm-hmm.
card in it called Rescue Rabbit and Evil Czar Logia and Evil Czar Dulka. It means nothing to non-Yu-Gi-Oh players, but those cards, like to me, were just like, dude, I have to play that, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I built that deck, and the initial it, Yu-Gi-Oh back then was really expensive. Okay, it's
Mm-hmm.
still kind of expensive now. COVID definitely jacked up the prices of all the
Yeah.
card games, but for the last couple years, like 4 or 5 years, Yu-Gi-Oh's been pretty inexpensive. Definitely in comparison to like 2007, 8, 9, 10, when top decks were like $5, 6, 7,000.
Mm-hmm.
Because you needed to have like all the Shonen Jump prize cards in your deck to like be the best.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, in 2011, the barrier to entry into top decks, like the main thing you needed was this card called Tour Guide from the Underworld, which is still my favorite Yu-Gi-Oh card of all time. Um, that card was at the time $185 a piece. You needed three of them to play any of the top decks.
Hmm.
And Rescue Rabbit was a deck that would be able to use that because of, a monster that could bring the Rescue Rabbit back whenever it wanted to. So yeah, like that was the big thing for me was that barrier to entry, just like going in and be like, do I really want to shell out $450 on three cards to play this game at that level? But I did it. I bit the bullet. I said, screw it, I'm gonna do it, and I never looked back. I actually like made the deck and sat down with all of the like top players in California, like the best players in the game, honestly, at the time,
Mm-hmm.
and was just grinding with them. I would play 40 hours a week, just every single day when I was not working on my store, like selling stuff and buying stuff. I was behind the tables playing and
Mm-hmm.
exclusively just playing with professional players, like the top players. I wasn't playing with random people or just like, you know, just people who were just average at the game. I was only playing with really good players to get myself there. And I did. I competed in my first regional championship with a top deck in January of 2012, and I got second place in the entire event out of like 1,200 players.
Yeah.
And then I played, three consecutive events with this deck, and I got in the top 16 or the top 32 out of,
Mm-hmm.
800 to 1,000 plus people. So I was performing very, very well at a very, just a very fast time. So I got a lot of attention from people too. And it was really cool getting respect from players, when I was so new to the competitive scene. It was pretty tight.
you were
Um,
you were starting to get close in this community. Like you were starting to build, your reputation was building up.
yeah.
You had a lot of experience in this on the national level, even in a
hmm
competitive level in Yu-Gi-Oh. Where was the fall off point where you just kind of decided, I kind of just want to watch it, maybe
So
do it for fun, or
I got sponsored that year, and I traveled all around 2013, 14, all around the country
mm,
for championships and stuff, and went to Germany a few times in 2016 to play. But yeah, around 2016 is when I kind of tapered off a bit, and this was
mm,
when I graduated from college. As I went through college, like it was kind of like my main thing. It was I worked as well, with it, but like,
mm,
it was kind of like my nice little, not really a side hustle, but it was my business, right?
mm.
Um, and I actually like bought my first car with Yu-Gi-Oh, with winnings from a Yu-Gi-Oh tournament. Like
What?
I went and put down the money as a down payment for the car from Yu-Gi-Oh. Um, so yeah, like did a lot of good things in my life, met a lot of great people, learned a lot of great lessons,
Mm,
um, and definitely was able to also learn a lot of abilities to read people. I get a very fast beat on if I'm gonna like somebody very quickly,
mm,
and a lot of that had to do with just picking up again mannerisms of just watching people from playing cards. People really show their real colors in just like a 40-minute game.
mm.
Um, so
It's the same
yeah,
thing.
once I
It's
graduated college, I fell off from it, and I actually picked up Yu-Gi-Oh when I was in Israel. I went to
mm,
Israel for my master's degree. This was in
okay.
2018 and 19. I was there, and I picked up Yu-Gi-Oh again while I was there because I went to the mall one day. I took the bus down to the mall because I wanted to go shopping for some stuff for the house,
Mm.
and I went to the food court to get some food, and I saw all these tables stacked together, and people was playing Yu-Gi, and I was like, "No way! People play Yu-Gi-Oh in Israel? You got to be joking!"
That's crazy.
And I went and sat down and started talking to people, and just like got to meet them, and I was like, you know what? Like I sold off most of my stuff, when I moved to Israel because I didn't need it anymore. I just left it with one of my friends at the shop to just sell everything off.
Mm.
So it was my income, honestly, while I was in Israel because I couldn't make money legally in the country because I wasn't Israeli. I
Right.
was on a student visa. So yeah, I called my family. I was like, "Yo, can you ship out like whatever I have left, and I want to play." So they
Mm.
did. February of 2019, and I built a brand new deck and moved. I went to Germany, went over to Dusseldorf, played in a championship series event, international championship, with a brand new deck I had never played before, and in a meta I had never seen, decks I'd never seen, and I did very fucking good, dude. I made day two of the championship, which is top 128. I was very proud of myself. And then, I went back to Israel and I won like everything, dude. I won every local tournament. I got first place so many times in the regionals, second place in the regionals. I got top 12 in their national championship. And it was really cool. I came back to the US right before I started my PhD program.
Mm.
And a good friend of mine who was also a really good Yu-Gi-Oh player, him and I just like road tripped it, dude. Like for the whole summer. Went up to
Mm.
Portland, went to Vegas, went to fucking San Jose, San Diego, went all over the West Coast to play every single major event
Mm.
from August, September, and October until I started school. And then when I started school, I went and sold everything I had, and yeah, now here I am. I don't play cards anymore. I've been messing around with Duel Links though, here and there in the last like week or two. It's been a kind of a fun way to kind of get back into the Yu-Gi-Oh scene, but I don't play the game at all, and I don't really think I ever will play the game ever again.
It
Because
just
I've
it
kind of like taken a backseat with competitive gaming.
yeah.
Honestly, that's why I fell out of Overwatch. That's why I fell out of Squadrons. Like, I just don't have an interest. I want to more so focus on myself for enjoying what I do and pushing like my, especially as a content creator, pushing the content. And I don't find myself doing professional gaming or competitive gaming as my main thing. So it's
Mm-hmm.
kind of like over the last 4 years, I've really kind of started to fall out of it. But
Mm.
definitely within the last 2 years, I have just completely wanted to cut out of it. That's why it was so easy for me to just cut the cord on Squadrons. It was a great opportunity, to be in like the esports scene for that and kind of pioneer it with
Mm.
Crimson Wings and stuff. But just wasn't worth it, right? All the stress and for what, right?
It's true.
For what? Yeah.
Competitive gaming gets you into this altered state where you kind of click into work mode instead of having fun. But it's fun, always to win, but to be try hard and to sweat a little bit. You're putting a lot of mental health resources in there, and it's funny because a lot of the competitive games that you've been playing, Dazu, are very niche, like Yu-Gi-Oh,
Mm-hmm.
Pokemon, you know, or Overwatch specifically, or like
Yeah,
Smash Bros.
Overwatch was probably like the most mainstream game that I played no,
Yeah.
competitively. Like, I would say professionally, I'd say semi-professional. Because I wasn't in like Overwatch League or anything. I played in Contenders though, which is like their second string to
Mm.
Overwatch League. I was at that level, but again, like I wouldn't go back and redo it if I was given the chance. Absolutely not. Like that part of my life was honestly trash. You know, people don't, and I don't know. I'm just gonna like go on a tangent real quick here, like
Mm.
for just like mental health reason. If anyone is ever interested in doing professional gaming or esports, like really think about it first. Really think about the commitment of what it takes to be good. You don't just because you have a skill at a game doesn't mean you're going to be the best player. Doesn't mean you're able to become on a professional team. It is so cutthroat. You can get dropped at any time from your contract because you didn't perform, or maybe you said something you shouldn't have said. Like it's very easy to get replaced for sure. There's so
It's
many
true.
people trying to do it, but the commitment and the dedication to it is very hard. And this is the one thing that like the squadrons community doesn't really see, um, between all the very big differences of skill gaps between the teams now. Some
Mm.
teams get it, some teams don't.
Yeah.
Of what it takes to really sit down and analyze a game to be a professional player at it. It's a lot of work.
Mm-hmm.
It's 50, 60, 70, 80 hours sometimes a week of work, of grinding, of playing, of theorizing, of map movements. It's so much work, dude.
Mm-hmm. It's true.
you know
For those
and
who.
yeah, a lot of people just see like oh, I want to play a game to make money off of it, but it's not that easy. It is not that easy, my friends. Not that easy.
It's true. I mean, you spend. I think I was watching a documentary on Halo 3, and it was over gaming addiction or whatever. But
Hmm.
it was just the fact that these people, they're not just like gaming, a certain duration of time. When they're off stream, like if when they're not playing the game, they have a team manager, and that team
Yes,
manager has them doing things on the side, like
yes,
sleeping, eating, like working out, like doing something on the side to keep
hmm,
them ready and agile.
yep,
Like the old version of competitive gaming used to be grind a game for a certain period of time. Now it's kind of evolved towards like a career.
it
So
is absolutely.
yeah, so it's really important to know if that's, you know, we stream doesn't mean you're the best gamer if you're a streamer. So knowing kind of that identity of where you fall within video games is very important, and you figure that out like as you're growing up and you're playing these different games, and as what Dazu kind of experienced, he experienced that competitive level at an early age, so he was able to like kind of build himself up to this point where he knew I don't want to do it anymore, but he had that experience to kind of push his decision making here. When
Yeah.
you decided not to go competitive gaming, um, what was that when you're playing or in like your first year streaming? What was that experience like? Just being for the community, being that person in that costume, just trying to be your best self, and trying to veer away from just uh, the toxicity in gaming. What was that experience like?
Liberating, extremely, to go in and just do stuff without having to have a microscope on you was wonderful. And
Mm-hmm.
I could have at any time just been like, you know what, I'm just gonna go stream Overwatch, like a top 500 player. I could definitely get an audience. I'm good. I know everything about the characters, the maps, blah blah blah. But like, why? Like so many other people do that, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's not just the saturation too. It's just what's the value in that? For me, like, what is my value as a creator, as a person too, spending all that time playing the game and not wanting to go professional with it anymore?
Mm-hmm.
What's the value there? Like, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So that's why it was so easy for me to detach myself from that style of mentality when I became a streamer.
Mm-hmm. Give.
Because it definitely allows me to spend much more time doing community involvement and community building and activities and stuff away from streaming.
Mm-hmm.
And then March alone, I mean, my viewership was like way high in March when I was doing just chatting. Just
Mm-hmm.
chatting segments were so successful, and I'm going to be bringing all that just chatting back with even more focused content and just chatting because my community really loves just chatting, and I don't blame them. I mean, it's very nice. It's a different thing. It's something that can be different all the time. It's not just going through the game. The game is just, for me, gaming in my eyes is supplemental to what I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
It's just kind of like a backseat. If I could structure like every stream in my ideal world, it's just like, the first couple hours of it is a just chatting thing with a little bit of gaming and then some coaching involvement around content and then a little bit of gaming and we're done. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's my ideal version of a stream. Once all the chips fall in line and things come to fruition of how I can associate that with my viewership and my community, that's what I want to do. I don't like just going live and just playing a game for 7 hours. It,
Sure. When you hop off and you are rewatching your stream, how do you kind of evaluate your goals for like growth or just the stream in general?
um, I think the big thing I always look for is what was working and what wasn't working. I'm always trying something different,
Mm-hmm.
whether it be something extremely noticeable or something no one will know except me. Not even sometimes my mods don't even know I'm trying something new.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of like just be a little hush about it sometimes. Um, just seeing if those stick. If those conversation starters, for example, keywords, if they make sense, if they work, if they were successful, if people actually grabbed onto them. Do I try them again if they didn't? Right. Um, Look at peaks. Look at like my performance during peaks. Was it the peak because of the time, or was it the peak because of my energy, or because what was going on, the interaction?
Mm-hmm.
That's the kind of stuff I look for. Is just trying to find some sort of consistency with with me as a person. So I found that consistency is not just not only important in being successful, but it's also important of just being able to evaluate yourself.
Mm-hmm.
If you're inconsistent a lot, and I've definitely, and I apologize to my viewers, definitely, if you're watching now or you watch this later, for the inconsistencies I have had with streaming the last couple of months. It has been very inconsistent and extremely stressful, I'm sure, for people to be a part of it. Um, but it's just something I've had to do to try and go through all the bullshit in my life lately. Um, but just know that like I do strive to get that consistency back like we had because it was very nice. You get dialed in, you know, and you just cruise, but don't get complacent. That's always my number one thing is when I watch myself is like try to evolve every time. Bring something new to the table every week, right? Complacency kills content creators big
Mm-hmm.
time. I've seen a lot of people fail in the year I've been on Twitch because of complacency. And I've seen a lot of people who like got super successful and got partnered and stuff already who are now becoming complacent and kind of falling off. So it's like you gotta really catch that before it sets in. It's
Mm-hmm.
hard. We are our own worst enemy. We are our own worst critic, right? So it's kind of hard to kind of sit there and just like judge yourself from the viewer's perspective, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that you kind of just have to really try and pull your own head out of the game, throw your ego out the window, and just try to level with yourself. Because what would my fellow creators think? What would my viewers think? You
Mm-hmm.
know.
There's
So
there, there's a lot of pressure there, considering what everybody else, is thinking about the stream, and you kind of brought up my next question is how do you mediate that stress and that depression, anxiety, as a streamer?
well, my wife, a huge rock for me to talk to.
Mm-hmm.
Um, kind of help with just situations in general. Honestly, even if she
Mm-hmm.
doesn't have any answers for me, just someone to talk to, right? Someone you can trust that
Mm-hmm.
has your best interests at heart, right? Of course, talking very closely with my moderation team
Mm-hmm.
is very important, and talking with friends, close friends, whether they be other content creators or with just my close friend group. Kind of just having that open dialogue with people is very very good, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, And I really respect talking about it with content creators because it's a two-way street. I'm not the kind of person who likes to take over a conversation and throw all of my problems on you
Mm-hmm.
without getting something back from you. And what I
Mm-hmm.
mean by that is not just like you answering my problem and trying to help me, but I want to know about you and what's going on with you, how you're doing, how are your problems going. It's a two-way
Mm-hmm.
street with me. That's the kind of relationship I like to have with people. I'm not one-sided.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the kind of thing that I think talking to content creators brings, like, is being able to relate to one another, because we all go through these things at some point, whether it's now, in the past, or in the future. We're going to go through some of these struggles, whether it be with viewership or with money or with bullshit drama, fake lie stories that people spread about you. Like, all of this stuff will happen to you in some point or another, whether it be in streaming or in YouTube or anything that's around the realm of content. So kind of just having that open dialogue is so useful. Don't bottle it up. Like, that's the worst thing you can do, is to keep all of it in, because it's going to affect you even more. If you don't talk about it and try to level it out, you're going to go into streaming, you're going to be pissed off, you're not going to be happy, you're not going to be engaged with your content, you're not going to be passionate and have that fire. And I have done that before. I've gone into streams where I'm just like starting the stream and I'm like, you know what, I'm mad, I am not in a good mood, and I'm my viewers can see that, and they don't want to watch that. I don't blame them. I
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't want to watch that, right? So like that's the kind of stuff that you just really really have to be able to combat. And
Mm-hmm.
all it takes is just opening up, having conversation. Even if you have to talk to yourself, you know, just talk. Whether you're religious or not, you could talk to God, right? But just talk. Say something, you know. I was
But
always really bad at communicating, man. I'm never really bad at like communicating to like friends, but communicating to really close people, like my
mm,
family, definitely my wife. Like, been a big problem of mine is opening up and talking about myself and my problems. Um, especially a way to kind of like circumvent them or fix them.
Mm-hmm.
And going through, I've been going through therapy for the last 4 months now, and
Mm-hmm.
that's one of the main things, action items that I always lead with is like my successes I've had in the realm of communication with my partner, with my family, with my friends, with myself, right? With my own self and my own issues I have with my own content creation journey or with school, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and like that's just, you know, I mean, for lack of a better way to say it, it's very important.
Yeah.
You gotta talk. You can't just shut up. Doesn't work. Can't
And
go through life being, not talking about stuff. Can't.
it it seems like you have a lot of people to talk to, like in a state of crisis. Even before, yeah, as you said, you might go in stream and you might be pissed, but it before that and even after your streams, you've created a web for yourself so
Mm-hmm.
that you can immerse yourself with people that kind of they understand you and you kind of understand them, so you feel comfortable opening up. Um, Now transition that into therapy. Therapy is a little bit different because you're practicing skills, or you're practicing basic skills um, that might seem very complex, but like you're there usually to break it down. So what is that transition between talking to your friends and talking to a therapist, do you think?
Um, Biases, honestly, is the
Mm-hmm.
big thing. You know, um, biases and assumptions are things that you get to kind of throw out the window in conversation with a therapist or someone that's in, clinical psychology or whatever
Mm-hmm.
counseling, um, because they are someone who knows nothing about you other than what you answer on questions on a sheet to give you a psychoanalysis. That's it. That's all they are to you, and that's really liberating. I have never wanted to be in therapy ever in my life, but um, I really needed it. I came to the point where like last couple months, like yo, I really really need shit. Really hit the fan in
Mm-hmm.
like January. I really needed it. I'm glad it's been a part of my life because it's been very helpful to kind of go into these conversations, go into these things, and share these experiences with someone who won't think of me differently because I share this with them. They
Mm-hmm.
won't think of me any less or any better because I am, talking about what I've done in my past or what I've thought of doing, right? Or what I've done recently, right? Whether it be good or bad things. That's so good. That's powerful. You know,
Mm-hmm.
biases are really, really dangerous. Um, so definitely like talking with friends, you have a bias because they're your friend, right? They're going to want to back you up. They're going to want to do anything in their
Mm-hmm.
power to give you the benefit of the doubt, as opposed to kind of sometimes though you have those friends, and I'm very thankful I do have these friends, my closest friends. Um, they can toss that out the window and give you a second opinion that allows you to deconstruct yourself.
Mm-hmm.
That's rare. That's a type of interaction that you don't really get. And I can count that on my one hand. The amount of friends I have that can do that with me, and I love them and bless my heart for them being able to do that. It's not easy, not easy. My wife too. She can play that card too, um, because I mean she does psychology. That's what she does for a profession. So,
Oh wow.
but she's not my she's not my
No,
therapist.
yeah.
Sometimes she can be one basically, but like that's not her role. She's my partner. She's not my counselor. So I try not to like dump that on her. That
Mm-hmm.
responsibility rather. I'll talk to her, right? Communication is key, but try not to like bombard her with stuff because it's not her role. It's supposed to help support me through stuff, not think of ways to get me through it, right? Or help me with coping skills. Um,
That's really important, even in any community, even in any relationship. It's not one-sided, right? There's two sides
mhm,
to every story, and I think
mhm,
I think that's really important that your wife knows that as well. As even as a therapist, being in a relationship, that's one of the stereotypes is that we are there to judge and do things. No, it's really all about just having a conversation, and I think you've kind of figured that out in counseling yourself. Is that it's really not somebody sitting there judging you. It's really just having a conversation and just talking about where are the crises, the conflicts going on there, and just getting down to business there. It's not mainly about, you throw something at me and I'm going to give you advice about it. It's not the
Mm-hmm.
case. We're not there to give you advice. We're here to guide you through your response, through the whatever you're dealing with, and that's what we're here for. And that's a hard role to even have.
Mm-hmm.
Um, when so kind of the last question about the stream, we talked a lot about the character you play on stream, and the trooper outfit and all that stuff. Would you say that the persona you show on stream is as close to your true self as in real life?
Yes, absolutely.
Mm.
I really try I try my hardest to just be myself all the time, no matter where I am or what I'm doing. Because I'm not ashamed of who I am. I'm not ashamed of what I believe in, and I'm definitely not ashamed of what I like to do. Um, and I've definitely like came into the streaming aspect and really quickly grasped this role model position for a lot of people,
Mm-hmm.
especially a lot of younger people who go through bullying and stuff because they like Star Wars, right? Something
Mm.
just like simple as that. But also talking with people about much bigger things in their lives, whether they be young or not. Um, I kind of like really took on that role, and that's just something that I am in my normal life. Like I am that resource for people, my friends and my family.
Mm-hmm.
Especially now, even more so, going through it, again myself, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, like it's it's hard to it's really hard to explain,
No,
honestly.
yeah, I think you put it perfectly. You feel comfortable with yourself. You open up a dialogue with your community, and I think
Hmm.
that allows them to see your personality.
Yeah.
Even with the full suit of armor on, I can tell about you just by this conversation and by all
Hmm.
the things that we talked about, because you're open and you're an open book. You want people to know you for who you are, and I think that keeps you true to yourself, because you're saying all the things that does respond to you and your persona and your character. So I love
Yeah.
it, man.
Hmm.
Um, Now considering the future, and we're on the last
Okay.
segment. The future next year, what do you have planned? Where's some goals that you kind of have set forward? And yeah, where's the stream looking from here?
So as far as short-term goals go,
Mm,
Um, my short-term goals are to basically just rebuild my consistency. I owe that to my community for sure to be consistent again and trying to build that sustainable audience.
mm-hmm,
Um, and from there, kind of just introduce new things. You know,
mm,
I'm not scared to do new ventures, whether it be games or just chatting content. Definitely very much like geared towards finally putting down on YouTube content and really going hard at producing this stuff.
mm,
Um, and I really just want to see the community continue to thrive, right? This whole charity event that we've been doing for Mental Health America has been so powerful. And it's not the first time I've done charity work on the stream. I started doing charity stuff like almost right away in May,
mm-hmm,
2020 for COVID. We did stuff for the vets on Memorial Day and Veterans Day, and then we did the Troopers for Tots for the Toys for Tots donations in December. And now we're doing mental health, and I'm looking forward to the next months. And there's a lot of important causes coming up that I want to support openly, because I support them personally. Um, so I definitely want to kind of not only just involve myself in it in an open space as a
mm-hmm,
forum for people to kind of talk about it, but also just accept it, right? Kind of like be a part of just an accepting space of, that's what I've cultivated, is definitely a space of safety and of empowerment for people to come in and be around people who want to have you be the best that you can be.
mm-hmm,
I'm not interested in tearing people down. I'm not interested in throwing, making people leave. I'm not interested in just banning people away from my communities. Like, I don't care. about what you've done or what you said. I don't care about if people even say that they talk shit about me, don't like me. I'm not gonna go and ban you from my content. I don't care, you
Mm.
know. Until you directly do something that affects me, I'm gonna give you that chance because I really definitely believe in second chances. I don't, I don't believe in just like throwing people aside, because sometimes people just do things out of emotion, right?
Mm.
We're emotional creatures, you know. Sometimes we
Mm.
do things and say things we just don't really think and believe because it's in the heated moment we just do stupid shit. We're human, we make mistakes. And when people can't realize that and get over that, then like that's on them.
Mm.
That's their mistake for, not seeing, you know, that that's how life is. And this is kind of what happened to me with this whole drama bullshit that I've been going through the last couple of months. It's just
Mm.
people just blindly following all this lies about me,
Mm.
um, without even just talking to me about it or asking me about it. You know what I mean?
it it
Um,
it seems like a lot of people are trying to get a reaction out of you, so
yes.
they'll stop by the stream and then they'll say whatever they want just so that you say something or slip up or whatever.
Hmm.
And that's very important when we talk about social media and just being online, having a life online, is that we at a certain point we are exposed, but you know what other people think about us is really to their interpretation, even though all the cards are out there. So
Correct.
when people come into the stream and they have the certain persona of what they think you are, and they have an idea of what your intentions are, they're going to try to get you to react in front of other people that follow you and just kind of
Hmm.
follow this little minority, right? So
Exactly.
it's a risky business being online and
Absolutely.
putting yourself out there.
Hmm.
Um,
And that's part of my another part of my pushing for the future is, you know, being more just even more transparent about stuff like this when it comes up. Um, I have no interest in publicly bashing people and slandering people. I never have, and I never will. You know,
mhm.
um, I don't believe in hashing stuff out in the public. It's To me, it's a waste of time and it's a waste of energy and doesn't do
Mhm.
anybody any good. Both parties are going to be in the wrong.
Mhm.
It's just going to create sides to something that doesn't need it. So, that's just part of my mission continuing going forward is to just continue to be more transparent and talk about the stuff when it's happening,
Mhm.
with my community, not in a lens of negativity, but just in a lens of just realness and truth. Because I ignored all of that stuff, and I just let it go and tried to just cruise through it as much as I could, but eventually enough was enough and I broke. We can only take so much, until we find a breaking point. And it took me 4 weeks of enduring, and then I finally broke. Um,
When
so that's part of my goals going forward, you know, as a
going into
creator.
going into the future, how might
Yeah.
you improve self care, meditation, mindfulness, all this stuff that kind of helps you realign, you know?
Um, so with myself now,
Mm-hmm.
before okay, I'll say myself and then I'll say content. For
Mm-hmm.
myself, it's just getting in routine. Um,
Okay.
Getting in a routine of understanding balance and understanding not just responsibility, but maintaining responsibility across different spheres
Mm-hmm.
and understanding boundaries, of when certain things should and shouldn't be done, right?
Mm-hmm.
I shouldn't be like doing content creation work like in my living room or in my bedroom, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's here in my studio and alone. When I leave my studio after my business hours, that is, I drop it. It's the end of the day. I actually do other things, personal stuff. So that's one thing for sure for my self care. Another thing for sure is to just continue with working out, getting back into the swing of things, of being physically active, and also doing it with my significant other. Helping
Yeah.
each other stay accountable is very good. It's an activity we can do together, but also it betters both of us. Um, and I'm very like again like super happy that like the DDR stuff is coming out too. So like very happy to play that. And the
Yes.
last thing for personal is just again to continue to seek the help that I need as long as I need it. When I feel like I'm ready to, um, well, step away from it.
Mm-hmm.
because I want to continue to grow as a person, to be able to have those, you know, just be able to continue to get into these situations and get over them, right? Or just like analyze them in different ways because I have different ways of looking at it, thinking about it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I've been doing that. Every time I go back and talk to the therapist, like they're very proud of the progress. I'm definitely not one of those people that is always skating by on the medium or they're just crashing all the time. I've had a few ups and downs, like
Mm-hmm.
kind of like going like that for a little bit, and then the drama started, and I was like, boom, like hit the ground. And it was like, what happened to you? You're like severe depression. What happened?
Yeah.
It's like, man, let me tell you. But yeah, as far as content goes, though, bettering myself for the content is again consistency. And then in doing that, it'll allow me to open up to trying out all my new things that I want to do, continuously innovating, um, while maintaining Star Wars, at the core.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it just be the costume and nothing to do with what I'm doing outside of the costume, but it's still Star Wars, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and again, just like let that partnership come to me for Twitch.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of my big picture goals for the summer. Is hopefully by the summertime, maybe that'll fall into alignment for our community. Um, and then from there, I can roll out my phase 3 of my business plan.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm very much ready for that because that'll allow me to kind of really jumpstart a lot of interactions with other content creators out there, to start really pushing the Devastator squad, just out into the public's eye in such a significant way.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
That. I mean, that's a full fledged plan right there. If I've ever seen one. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
you're always problem solving. You're always trying to find the next step into what the plan is, and again, you have certain phases to pulling out. What you want to do at what time, and I think that's really important. Is that you have a set plan, but it's just sometimes things happen in life at a certain duration of time, and
Mm-hmm.
you have to deal with that.
Yep.
And it's not always going to be easy, but you still have to deal with it. So I'm really proud of you for focusing on those things that are happening in the moment rather than in the future or in the past. I think that's
Mm-hmm.
really important. Um, Now we get into the advice. If there was, let's start with a gamer. If there's a new gamer, he's like, fuck, 5 years old, and he wants to get into games. What's some advice for him or her?
Um, Honestly, what are you interested in? Like, just as simple as that, you know? That would open up a realm of just possibility for them, knowing what you can just immediately put them towards. Um, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, the age also too. Like you're kind of forced to specific things.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't give a 5-year-old GTA 5. If they were interested in like, oh, I want to drive a car. I wouldn't give them GTA.
Yeah.
I'm very like old school in that like even when I have my own kids, I'll adhere to kind of like the PG-13 or all that kind of stuff, age restriction kind of things. Like I know a lot of people show their kids and stuff like R-rated things and mature games, but I
Mm-hmm.
just think there's a time and a place for it,
Yeah.
for them to
Absolutely.
kind of explore their life and learn more. Like you don't need to like learn that kind of stuff yet,
Mm-hmm.
as a kid because you're so not just really innocent and pure, but like you're, you know, you're not ready. You know.
And I think there was I was talking to a couple of oldies, like people like 10 years older than me and our streamers, and they were talking about how GoldenEye was way too violent at the time when they were growing up. Like, it's just so interesting how we see rated M, rated T
Yep.
just evolve over time, and how at this present moment it's almost well, I'm kind of used to it seeing like a little kid playing Call of Duty and getting executions here and there. Like we even we even hype up the streamers that are kids that are playing Call of Duty because
Yeah.
we're like, oh, this kid is talented, but he's not old enough. Like he's got a whole long way to go to realize what he needs in life before he can even get to that point where he's playing rated M games.
Yeah.
Um, so that's more of that, as what Dazu said, those traditional values of there's a certain age for things. So
Yeah.
stick to those. What about for streamers? Streamers trying to get into it. They're thinking about it. Maybe they have a couple of cosplay gear they want to show
Yeah.
off.
Um, so as far as streaming advice goes, I'm actually going to be starting an entire segment of content about streaming. Um, I know there's a number of people that do that already, but like it's not about like trying to do something that others aren't doing. It's more so it's about telling your story. It's about personalizing it, and I think that I can really help a lot of people in making decisions about whether or not they want to stream at all.
Mm,
Definitely when you're in streaming, what you can do, because I mean, I have achieved a lot in one Twitch. I mean, yeah, I haven't gotten the partnership part of it, but I've got the ability to apply.
mm,
Um, but I've also been able to make a very strong community just only doing Twitch and nothing else.
mm,
Which, you definitely want to be utilizing the platforms.
mm,
Curated content on YouTube is very important. And I've just kind of missed the ball in that one. Just, again, constantly having issues with other things in my life, not being able to have the time to do these
mm,
videos. Um, but that aside, I would say if you were to ask me again, like, what's some advice to get into streaming, I would say the first question you need to ask yourself is why do you want to stream? What's the point? What's the purpose? What's the value? What are you going to bring to the table with your journey? You know, answer that question first. Think about that. Why do you want to stream? It sounds so basic, but I think a lot of people don't even realize why they stream or even know why they stream.
mm,
I can definitely see a lot of people that are even like partnership level that probably can't answer that question of why they stream, right? Because it shows in their content, it shows in their caring of themselves and in the caring of their audience and the quality of what they do.
mm,
I'm not talking about gear at all. I'm just talking about of just what you're doing, how you're moving through space and time. Because knowing what you want to do with yourself, why you want to stream, will allow you to have those kinds of expectations and interactions.
mm,
If you ask yourself that question and your answer is, "Oh, I want to be ninja," good luck.
mm. Yeah.
Okay, and I'm not trying to dishearten you, but good luck.
Mm,
Okay, how can it's possible? I know a lot of people who are extremely successful in content creation space,
mm,
okay, who make a very good living doing this for
mm,
just a small amount of people. I mean, I'm a good example of that too, honestly. I do very well on just Twitch, and I have a very small viewership.
mm.
Um, but that's just the power and the details of knowing what I want to do, right?
Right.
I know exactly who I want to be, exactly what I want to do, and I asked myself that question before I started streaming. You know,
Mm,
I didn't go on and I just turned on Twitch and was like, all right, here's my stream key, let's go live. Like it was a test in and of itself to go live and put on the armor, but
mm,
I knew what I wanted from Twitch. I wanted it as just a space to create something new, something different.
mm,
I had no expectation of turning it into my job or into my potential career. Not at all. That
mm,
wasn't in my repertoire of possibilities, right?
mm,
Um, I didn't go on Twitch to want to become a successful streamer. I did not go on Twitch to want to make a bunch of money out of it. I went on Twitch because I wanted to start something to keep myself busy that could maybe do something, right?
mm,
Whether even if it was just like, couple dollar or $100 or something amount, something small, just something simple. But it wasn't about the money, right? And it still isn't about the money for me. It's still not about the money. It's
mm,
about just remembering the passion, right? Um, so yeah, my vision has changed for sure
mm,
since I first started streaming last year. Like, well, I asked myself that question after the first month, and I was like, yeah, I think my new version of why I should stream on Twitch is I want to actually like see if I can make a job out of this because holy moly, like I had 200 subscribers in my first month on Twitch. Like it popped
mm,
off so fast. So I was thankful enough to be able to have that option on my table like really quickly. But again, you have to stay relevant and you have to continue to push innovate. If I got complacent then, I guarantee you I wouldn't be able to call this my full-time job like I did back in the fall. Definitely the start of 2021. This is my main source of my livelihood. But again, it just goes back to that like fundamental moment of like before you even start streaming, why do you want to do it? You
Yeah,
know?
yeah. Having that identity is huge, and even Dazu said he had to reevaluate that identity over and over, and it's going to be consistent, just like content has to be consistent. Is making sure that everything is kind of set forth in the right place before you send it out to the world. And I admire Dazu's planning, and his stages to getting to where he wants to get, because those steps are allowing him to provide his best content but his best self as well. um, Sometimes it doesn't hurt to be a little calculated, but at the same time it it's good to show that you're providing who you are in a video form, but you're also providing this stream identity in that video, and that's huge. That's really important.
Mm-hmm.
That's what people want to see, and that's what gets people hooked in like social media outlets. And speaking of which, our very last question: where can we find you, Dazu, on social media? Because you've listed 7. We got to get them down.
Yeah, you can of course find me on Twitch. You
Mm-hmm.
know, twitch.tv/DazuTheDevastator. You
Mm-hmm.
can find me on Instagram and Twitter and TikTok. My handle on all of that is TKDAZU. So TK Dazu. Um,
Okay.
and then my YouTube, Dazu the Devastator. Um, yeah, that's where I am at the current. Of course, Discord as well. A Devastator Squad community Discord server. You can find a link for that in my Twitch chat. Just type !Discord and you'll get a link. But yeah, that's where I am.
There you go. I put up a little link if you guys want to go check out Dazu. This man, even though it's been a while since we've been planning this interview for a long, long time. Let me
Yes,
tell
we
you,
have.
it's been a long time. But it's also because Dazu has been also dealing with things in his life as much as I had family things and I had to cancel a couple. It just goes to show that there is going to be the right place, the right time to do things, but it's going to take some time. You have to push through those struggles. You have to find ways around them, find those, those the people that you feel safe with or the places you feel safe with. You have to regroup, and then you can come back to daily responsibility. But as what Dazu said, he's been dealing with a lot of stress, a lot of anxiety. Even sure regarding the stream, but in other aspects. So it's a combination of what battle do I have to fight at the moment, and then where at what stage do I feel ready to move back to where I was. And
Right.
I really appreciate you, Dazu, coming on board. And again, you are kind of a role model to me because when I last year during COVID-19, I was dealing with a lot of stuff, just finishing up my master's program. COVID hit. I couldn't go back to my internship. I had to scramble and try to get hours in supervision. I was stressing out, but I could always rely on coming on to Dazu's Twitch, watching him, just being a part of that community to feel like I feel safe, and I can really enjoy myself at this point because
Mm-hmm.
we're Star Wars lovers, but we also are nerds. We're also people who appreciate knowledge and wisdom, and I just want to say, personally, thank you so much for all that you do, Dazu. Really appreciate you, man.
Thank
Of
you.
course,
Thank you very
absolutely.
much.
I will send you all the stuff afterwards, the YouTube video and the feedback form, all that stuff.
Okay.
Uh, Ladies and gentlemen, let's give him a round of applause. Thank you, Dazu, for coming on board.
Mm-hmm.
I will probably see you on Battlefront very soon. We all know
Yeah.
we're a pretty dynamic duo. So I will see you very soon. If you have any questions, just let me know, and we'll go from there. All right,
Will
bud?
do. Awesome.
Awesome. Thanks, Dazu. Appreciate you, and I'll see you soon, all right?
All right, man. Have a good night. Thanks, everybody.
See you, Cap.